Fawad Reveiz, and we are underway. It goes over Kevin Williams' head, out of the back of the end zone, touchback. And Troy Aikman and the Dallas Cowboys will come on offense for the first time. Aikman, as Pat said, yet to be sacked. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and wins over the New York Giants on a Monday night, and then last week against Denver back at Texas Stadium. And he will run behind a huge offensive line.
And Vern, I think early in the game that this is an important defensive series for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, Jack Del Rio said to us yesterday, my dream, my vision of this game was to have a 3 and out. This is an important early defensive series.
Watch Esra Tuaolo, number 98, at the nose tackle spot defensively. Here's the handoff. It's hit behind the line. Emmett Smith loses yardage. Ed McDaniel leads the defensive charge.
Just the kind of start you want. Yeah, the Vikings must make this a fourth quarter game. And the way you do that, you stay in it against the Cowboys in the first quarter. Number 58 is Ed McDaniel. He is the backside linebacker. He should make a lot of tackles. Just kind of blew right through Daryl Johnson, made the play, and that's the start the defense won.
To give you an idea of how difficult the task facing Minnesota is, the Cowboys have had the ball 21 times this year. Only once have they been held to 3 downs and a punt. Aikman to throw. Got him. First sack of the season. Roy Barker.
Yeah, they're still trying to fight for that 3 and out, believe me. But you spend so much time worrying about John Randall. There's some other guys that can put some pressure on the quarterback as well. Number 92, Roy Barker, has had a big start to the season in the rushing the passer and stopping the run.
3 wide receivers. 3rd and 20. Aikman lobs it to Emmett Smith. Harlan Barnett gets him. 3 and out for Minnesota.
You know, Vern, that's good defense. The Cowboys coming into this game only had 5 negative plays in their first 2 games. And they had 2 in that series. So Tony Dungy's defense set the tone, the exact tone they wanted to get done early in this game.
John Jett is on to punt. There is Tony Dungy. Defensive coordinator extraordinaire, at least for the moment. David Palmer to return it. Bad punt.
That's a shank you very much.
It gets a Cowboy roll, however. It does go out of bounds near the 48-yard line. So for John Jett, a poor punt, but a little bit of a break at the end of it. 37 yards, including about 15 on the roll. 38-year-old Warren Moon. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Going with more high percentage passes this year, Pat.
They want to cut down on the interceptions, but he said to us yesterday, Vern, that we have to play a perfect game to beat these Cowboys.
Which begins and ends with no turnovers. 1st and 10. Robert Smith, the long setback. Here's the lob pass to Jake Reed. It's behind him, and Larry Brown arguing for offensive pass interference. It'll go for an incomplete pass. Chris Carter, Jake Reed had 85 catches last year. Robert Smith, with 111 yards last week, surpassed his season total for 1994. And up front, Todd Stussy and Corey Stringer, a 2nd-year tackle and a rookie tackle, are going to be tested heavily tonight, with Haley and Tolbert coming at them. 2nd and 10. Charles Evans stays in the backfield. He's the lead blocker for Robert Smith, who squeezes yardage over right tackle. Corey Stringer moved the pile, and they crossed the 50 to the 47-yard line. Defensively for the Cowboys, familiar names now. Tolbert and Haley at the defensive ends. Maryland and Leon Lett at the tackles. Robert Jones, a resuscitated career at the middle linebacker spot. Darren Smith, a holdout, and Godfrey Miles is occupying his spot. And this may be the weak part of the Cowboys' defensive unit, if there is one. 3rd down. Shotgun. Handoff Incomplete. First down, Minnesota at the Cowboy 41.
What a lead block by Randall McDaniel. I mean, you know, the defense did their job. They forced a 3-and-out, the punt. They got good field position. And then that first third down, it's kind of a change-up play. It's a passing down. Number 64 is Randall McDaniel. Watch him lead the play here. Ampli is more of a receiver than a runner. McDaniel dominates his guy. Ampli follows that block, and they pick up a first down. So kind of a change-up call on 3rd and 5.
First and 10. McDaniel back in his spot. Now they're going to reset the game clock. Or the play clock, rather. Our referee tonight, by the way, is Ed Hockley. On the 42, first and 10, double tight end set. That's Chris Carter. Heading in motion, top of the screen. Robert Smith, he's bounced backwards as he crosses the 40 to the 38. Leon Lett got him.
Yeah, he got stunned. He was stunned. And Woodson got him, too. And Robert Smith is hurt. The one thing about Robert Smith, we've said there's not too many running backs like him. He is tall, he is angular, and he is a big target at 6'1". Most of the good running backs you see now, Vern, are that, you know, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", 200 pounds. So he goes 6'1", although he looks taller than that. And, you know, he presents quite a target.
Denny Green went way back in NFL history. To compare him to a running back, Lenny Moore, the outstanding running back of the Colts in the 50s.
About this Dallas defense, they have a lot of guys that can make up some ground quick. Oh boy, and that is Darren Woodson, the strong safety, and that is the helmet in the stomach. Ouch.
That's going to be ribs, and that's going to hurt. Time has been called. Smith resting himself in his ribs on the sideline. No official medical report, but Scotty Graham has taken his place. It's good to see a bit of a smile for Robert Smith. And there's Darren Woodson.
Yeah, Darren Woodson has been a force. You know, he's noted now for all the big plays he made a year ago, but he makes a lot of the little plays, like that one. I mean, stuff in the hole when you had a big gain on your hands. Scotty Graham is in the backfield now.
He started the season at tailback. Robert Smith was a contract holdout in preseason. Here's a fake reverse, and Scotty Graham is spilled as he gets down to the 37-yard line. That will bring up a third and about 4 or 5. And it'll bring in the nickel defense of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, it would be a great lift for the Vikings if they could score first. Now, you know, we're still very early in this ball game, but the thing about Dallas, they're the best front-running team, I think, in the NFL. And you're playing at home, you'd love to get that first score, but to be able to do so, you have to convert this third down.
Cowboys are going to go with 4 down linemen and 7 defensive backs. Greg Trimble has come in. Bill Bates, the 13-year vet, in the middle. The kind of mistake Warren Moon said they could not have.
And the snap was catchable. It was a little off. It was a little off to his left, but it was catchable. Should have been caught. Very good. Looked like he actually started backing up before the ball got there, and kind of short-armed on it. Second in history. Dave Craig leads that distinguished group with 132.
My buddy Dan Fouts retired at 106, and he's going to love me bringing his name into that conversation. Nice high punt. And it's going to be down at the 1. Whoa, Mike Saxon, the former Cowboy, leads the league and puts down inside the 20, and this one...
You catch it, Vern.
Whoa!
This thing was up there. And again, they had a good defensive play and a good special teams play. I mean, so the defense did their job, the special teams have done their job, and now the Cowboy offense for the second time is backed up.
Cowboys at their own 1.5. No score, 10:04 to go first quarter. Already 2 negative plays for Dallas on the opening drive. That's Johnson and Emmitt Smith. Behind Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. Look at him dance. Look at him dart. Look at him get the Cowboys out of jail.
Kind of reminded me a little bit of a 99-yard run a guy made in a Cowboy uniform a number of years ago.
Right down from that same spot,
exactly,
as a matter of fact.
Against this very same team.
Tony Dorsett.
Absolutely. You know, and you look at Emmitt Smith, and he always seems to know where he wants to go, and he doesn't waste any steps getting there. He doesn't see people, he feels them and makes them miss.
Gain of 14 for Smith. Novacek starts in motion. First and 10 Dallas. They hand it to Smith again. He gets a little bit of a push back from Michael Irvin and is knocked out of bounds by Charles Mitzi, number 21. There is a flag down on the far sideline. Again, the referee tonight is Ed Hockley.
Here's Charles Mincy, grabs a little face mask. And the official's right there.
That seems to be the junior variety, the adolescent call, not the adult.
Personal foul, face mask by the defense, number 21, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Boy, I thought it was a junior variety.
Yeah, that was a 13-year-old. That wasn't a 21-year-old. That thing couldn't vote. Dallas backs and receivers, Kevin Williams, Michael Irvin, Novacek, Emmitt Smith, and Johnston. And look at the size of this offensive line.
Yeah. And they have just dominated the first 2 games.
And the Cowboys have moved out of trouble now. They're at their own 35, first and 10. Johnston comes wide right. Aikman will throw. Deep left side, Michael Irvin is short and in front of him. Defensively from Minnesota, a unit that held Barry Sanders to 35 yards last week. Barker, James Harris, Tua Olo, and John Randall, 12.5 sacks last year. Thomas, Del Rio, and Ed McDaniel, the linebackers. And Barry Switzer feels that they can protect Troy Aikman. This secondary is vulnerable.
Yeah, they think they can work on Fuller, and they think they can work on both of those safeties.
Donald Frank was a starter last week. Corey Fuller is a rookie getting his first start in left corner. Smith at the 36. .8:45 to go first quarter.
Well, Troy Aikman, I think he can beat you with fewer passes than any quarterback in the league. You know, he's not a stat guy. He's not going to throw for 35 touchdowns or have a lot of 300-yard games.
Not a fantasy football guy.
He is not, but he will slice you and he will dice you and he will beat you with a few passes.
Kind of a Rocco sort of guy.
Yeah, Vegematic.
Right. Third down. Into the flat for Smith. Gets a block from Johnson. Oh, dandy block. That is going to be short of the first down. But Moose Johnson leveled Del Rio.
Yeah, you know, Daryl Johnson's one of those guys you don't appreciate really until you watch the tapes on Monday. You know, he's the kind of guy that'll make blocks like this. Good coverage here as Aikman looks downfield first. Then he's going to try to go to Johnson and dumps it off. And that's the kind of confidence he has in Emmitt Smith on 3rd and long to try to give him a chance to run for it. But Del Rio got smoked.
Actually, it was Robert Griffith. That's my mistake. 24. He's the guy that got popped.
Okay.
And then Jack was down, and he got up, having been leveled.
The thing about Johnston, though, in so many subtle ways, he can help their team win.
John Jett, second punt. David Palmer back to return it. This will go over. Oh, he's got it at the 10. He's dangerous. Tiny All-American at Alabama. Had a disappointing year a year ago, but don't forget about him tonight. Earlier in preseason, he had 7 punts returned against Kansas City for 201 yards. That'll keep you up at night.
First seem to die. Let's take you back. A young inning.
And he said he's going to score. I thought, well, that'll go in the archives.
He was right. He was right.
Oh, dear. I had a few more hearings of that.
We all did.
In the backfield, Robert Smith is popped by Charles Haley.
And Charles Haley is a guy that's just going to blow right by Todd Stussy, number 73. I mean, he tries. It's almost a Nolan Ryan no-hitter. I mean, he puts the hands out there, and Charles Haley gets a little ole, and he makes the stop.
We chatted with Robert Smith yesterday, the young man from Ohio State, and talked about running right at Haley. He said, well, he's an exceptional pass defender. He's a good run defender. Let's put it that way.
He's pretty good on Appalachia.
Turn back. None will run. Whoa, man. Cowboys have it, Leon left.
now Warren has lost the ball. Once in the shotgun formation, this just comes right out of his hand without a problem. And mind you, this Minnesota team is not good enough to win tonight by making mistakes. They must play an error-free game. And this is their first significant error of the evening. I mean, that's just losing the handle. And again, they're not the Vikings are an average football team. They're not a dominant team. And to stay in with the Cowboys, you can't turn it over.
Unfortunately, that's going to make its way to the football follies.
Yep.
For Warren, I say unfortunate. It just slipped. And here are the Cowboys at the Minnesota 20.
Well, this is a situation you may want Michael Irvin on a post pattern.
There goes Michael Irvin. Got it. Touchdown, Dallas. I believe it was a post pattern.
You know, they were going to... Michael Irvin runs that skinny little post pattern. I mean, he is the wide guy, and all they're trying to do is create a matchup with the corner and the safety. He's the wide guy, number 88, top of the screen. The inside receiver ties up the free safety. Michael Irvin makes a great adjustment to the ball in the air, and they have the touchdown.
Michael Irvin is tied in number of 100-yard receiving days for the Cowboys with 26. Last week, he came 6 yards short of holding the record by himself. Wants to get it tonight. Whoa, 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 wow.
My, was that a bad kick?
That was awful. That looked like the Kansas City-Oakland game this afternoon.
Well, they felt if they could protect Troy Aikman, they could work on these corners and safeties. And you get Michael Irvin in the first post pattern of the evening. A terrific adjustment. When the ball's in the air, he owns it.
Cowboys were perfect in what they call the red zone. That's the area inside the 20. 8 of 8. Well, make it 9 of 9. That's perfection of the highest order.
They are just so hard to stop. It's kind of like, you know, balancing the federal budget. It's easy to talk about, but real hard to do.
It's easier for you to talk about than some of us.
Yeah.
That, by the way, was Chris Boniol's first career miss of a point after touchdown. The last Cowboy miss was by Lynn Elliott in 1993. Lynn Elliott's the guy who missed the field goal in the game this afternoon. Here's John Baker kicking off. It's taken by David Palmer, returning kickoff as well as punts tonight. And they like his chances doing this. And that's a pretty good effort. The Vikings get it out to the 33. Well, the Cowboy coaches were going to run the post to Michael Irvin the first time inside the 25. You think Barry Switzer liked the results?
Well, you know, it's a nice thing when you feel like you have a game plan and things work. And, you know, that obviously did. And now the Vikings, you know, they had a defensive game plan. They wanted a 3 and out. That happened early in this game. The offense didn't capitalize on good field position. And now Warren Moon hasn't really gotten the rhythm of this thing. Fumbled the last time. And now they're battling that Dallas thing that everybody seems to battle. They have this year.
6-0 Dallas. Moon has 2 fumbles thus far in the game. 1 lost. That pass complete right side. Andrew Jordan, the tight end, number 89, makes the grab.
Yeah, the Vikings have 2 tight ends. They do 2 different things. Andrew Jordan is the receiving tight end, and Adrian Cooper, number 87, he's the blocking tight end.
Andrew Jordan got kicked out of last week's game. There's Cooper. He hit a guy from behind. That cost him in the pocketbook as well as an ejection. 6-0 at the 6-minute mark.
Oh, that was his head.
Jack Del Rio was talking about the frenzy that happens when teams get behind Dallas. Oh, what a pop on Robert Smith. Boy,
I tell you, these defensive backs are popping Robert Smith. One time it was Darren Woodson. That time it was Larry Brown. And think about these Cowboys. You can't run outside on these guys, I don't believe. They are just too quick on defense. He pops it outside because of some inside penetration, some very quick penetration. I think it was Shante Carver. And he forces him outside. But they have so much speed with Haley and those defensive backs, you don't have a chance.
Charles Haley favoring his left leg, muscle pull of some sort. Shante Carver is on the field. See if Haley leaves. Del Rio was talking about what happens when you get behind Dallas. He said all of a sudden you're in awe of what they're doing, and trying to play catch-up against these guys is just darn near impossible.
You know, as we watch Charles Haley, we talked about it on the pregame show, everybody's making a big thing about signing Deion Sanders, but I think the fact that Charles Haley decided not to retire is as equally a large story as they signing Deion Sanders. They're a dominant defense with Charles Haley. They're not without him.
I thought we were going to go the whole night without mentioning.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was in the context of Charles Haley, though.
I understand, so you're forgiven.
Okay.
6-0. Second and 13. Move, Broadway. Robert Smith. Big hole. Wow, the race is on. Edwards, or Woodson rather, catches up with him. But a nifty run of 44 yards for Robert Smith.
Okay, the umpire gave him a good block, and Randall McDaniel, number 64, gives him a good block. The umpire kind of screens somebody. He makes him miss. Jake Reed, number 86, the wide receiver, picks up a good block. And when your wide receivers block, Vern, 5-yard runs become 44-yard runs. And that's what Robert Smith had right there. That's good blocking all the way around.
Amp Lee will give Robert Smith a rest. Charles Evans is in the backfield on 1st and 10. A 44-yard romp. Here's a 3-step setup. Amp Lee, who is excellent out of the backfield catching passes, grabs that one and then is tackled by Dixon Edwards, number 58. Lee, who spent 2 years with the San Francisco 49ers, a career high of 45 receptions last year in this pass-happy offense. They want to reduce the number of passes this year, Pat. They threw, what, nearly 600.
Yeah, 40 a game, and one of the things they said, hey, we want control passes, and we don't want the turnover. We don't want Warren Moon throwing as many interceptions as he did a year ago.
Robert Smith back as the deep back in the eye. They go to the right side. Evans misses a block, but Smith turns the corner. A flag is down. Robert Smith knocked out of bounds by Clayton Holmes, who claims he was held.
You know, Robert Smith has extraordinary speed. He's not fast. He's extraordinarily fast. And we talk about people sometimes taking the wrong angle on him. I mean, he's tall, he's angular, he's got that long stride, and I think he fools defenders, and they really take the wrong tackling angles.
How fast is he, you ask? Well, he was a member of the Ohio State 4x400-meter relay team that had the fastest time in the world.
Number 89, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
In 1993.
Yeah.
Holding, wipes out the run.
Again, the long, loping stride, and then again, you think you have the angle. I mean, it looks like Woodson thought he had the angle, and then he outran him. I mean, that's what he does. He fools you with his speed. Poor angle there by Darren Woodson.
Holmes is right. We have a report from the Cowboy bench. Charles Haley, a strained left hamstring. He might not be back. Second down. Amp Lee in the backfield. A 4-wide receiver set this time. Here's Moon. Draw play. Lee dances right, in trouble, down at the 20. And the crowd didn't care for the play selection.
Yeah.
Or the execution either.
Yeah. Well, they have to come out of this thing with at least 3 points. So what Warren Moon can't do here is take a sack, and certainly can't throw the interception. If it's close, throw it away. But remember, we also said that this is where you got to have a guy like Chris Carter come up and make a play. Play big. I mean, play your size. Out-jump somebody. And this is where you'd love to see Chris Carter get a chance.
Shante Carver is in at right end for the Cowboys. Chris Carter in the slot. Here's Moon back on 3rd down. Screen pass. Oh, boy. Leon left.
He's a force. Recovered a fumble. Stopped the screen. We were talking to Dave Campbell, the defensive coordinator, and said, when he's on, when he decides to play, you can't block him. He said, we just got to get him to play every down. Because when he plays hard, you just can't stop him.
That brings on Fuad Reveiz to try his 31st consecutive field goal. Last week he hit 2, and that set a new NFL record. He broke the mark of held by John Carney. Mike Saxon will hold. Mike Morris will snap it. Everything's good. The kick is on the way. Make it 31 in a row for Fuad Reveiz. A 42-yard effort. It was last week when he set the record, and it was a 32-yard kick. Mike Saxon bobbled the hole, and it was only the fact that they'd worked together for so long that allowed Reveiz to stay back. Well, Mike Saxon said, actually, it wasn't Mike Morris's best snap. Well, the offensive line took umbrage at that. So earlier this week, they grabbed Mike Saxon and they taped him up in the weight room.
Right to the weight room. I mean, actually to one of the machine, one of the equipment, man. It was like 18 rolls of tape. It could not extricate himself from the mess.
Mike said that wasn't as bad as what happened to former Viking kicker Rich Karlis here a couple of years ago. Karlis, his wife, said she didn't want him hanging around with offensive linemen because they dressed funny. They taped him up and strung him over the goalpost and hooked him like a marlin and then took pictures of him. Hijinks are not done here in the land of the North.
That's great.
Oh, well. There's another example of
one of the fans.
Too much lutefisk.
He's wondering why people don't get goosebumps on their face.
I saw that guy at the cross country in Lillehammer. And in the meantime, more serious conversations with Warren Moon and Chris Carter. Brian Billick, offensive coordinator, to the left. Charles Haley, strained hamstring. 6-3 game. Fuad Reveiz will kick off. Devin Williams after 2. Oh, man. Richard Brown, who is here because of his special teams play. He played for Gary Zonner before at San Diego State.
Yeah, you know you're number 52. You know you're a good special teams player when you've been special teams captain of 2 different teams. Was in San Diego, was in Cleveland. He's about to be here in Minnesota. This guy is a force on special teams.
Gary Zonner is a special teams coach of the Vikings, was at San Diego State. He recruited Richard Brown. He recruited Mike Saxon. He's got 4 former San Diego State players filling special teams roles for the Vikings. 6-3 Dallas. Smith. Fumble! I believe the Vikings have it.
Well, Tony Dungy's defense creates turnovers. They've done it since he's been the coordinator here in 1992. And Vern, we said for Minnesota to win this game, they needed to create 2 or 3 turnovers. They just got one. Now, this is the guy, Emmitt Smith, who does not fumble the ball off. But when you play against the Vikings, you know they're going to be stripping the ball. It was Corey Fuller that stripped it. Number 27, the rookie out of Florida State. Now, 3 or 4 purple jerseys were there, but Dungy's defenses turned the ball over, and last year they scored 7 touchdowns on defense.
Emmitt Smith, a rare mistake. First fumble in 131 carries. Backs are split. Moon, wrong way. Robert Smith, ankle tackle behind the line of scrimmage. It was Charles Haley who was back out there. What a warrior.
Unbelievable. You know, but since Tony Dungy is taken over, he has had 113 turnovers since 1992. It's unbelievable. It's no accident.
Player down. Chris Hinton, the right guard, number 78.
That's a guy they really need in their run game, Chris Hinton. And Vern, for the Vikings, other than the 1 fumble by Warren Moon, this game has gone exactly what they wanted to do. You know, the 3 and out in defense. You know, they played some pretty good offense. They had a good run there with Robert Smith, and their defense turns the ball over, gives them field position. I mean, so far in this ball game, this has been a well-executed one for the Vikings in particular. 78 and right in the middle of the screen. Ouch. Ow, 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 ow.
Ouch. That's Charles Haley who fell on it.
Yeah. I mean, Haley's going to be around the ball a lot, and there's going to be a lot of bodies flying. I mean, it's like trash after the game. You know, just piled up, these bodies in there.
Chris Hinton, 13th year from Northwestern. And is assisted to the sidelines. Everett Lindsey, who backs up almost every position on the offensive line, will move into right guard now, number 61. Second down and 9. 90 seconds to go, opening quarter. Carter in motion to the right side. Quick setup, left side, caught. Jake Reed. That's short of the first down at the 17-yard line.
Yeah, there's some hitting going on by these defensive backs. I mean, Larry Brown twice has tagged some guys. We saw Darren Woodson tag Robert Smith. You know, the Vikings felt if there was a weakness on this Dallas defense, they thought they could pick on the corners, but Larry Brown has responded, certainly in the run game and in the tackling game tonight.
Robert Smith comes out. Amp Lee will stay in. It'll be 3rd and 1. Double tight end set. Cooper comes to the left side. Quick pass. Dandy play to Carter. Nicely conceived offensive play.
Absolutely. They needed big plays from Chris Carter, not necessarily long plays, Vern. And in a 3rd and 2, when you need to keep the drive alive, this is a big play. He's number 80. He's the man outside. It's kind of a little delay. Amp Lee goes in the flat. He gets all the attention. Chris Carter just catches a small little pass, a short little pass, and he is a strong guy after the catch. The play is not over when he catches it.
Carter comes to the left side. Back to the eye. 1st and goal from the 5 officially. Robert Smith cuts it up the middle over the block of Jeff Christie.
This is one series where Minnesota would love to punch it in. I mean, and we talked about, you know, always chasing Dallas. You get a lead here at home, the crowd gets into it, and I think you play 10-15% better.
Well, if they're going to punch it in, they're going to punch it in at the south end of the Metrodome. We've reached the end of one. It's 6-3 Cowboys. Pondering that fumble on the left is Smith, who fumbled. The right is Michael Irvin. Which one scored the touchdown?
Yeah, Michael may be laughing, but that's a very focused and disappointed Emmitt Smith. You saw that he didn't fumble the ball much, and his team right now is not, you know, performing like they did in their first 2 games. And give the Vikings some credit. They've done a pretty good job, special teams and on defense.
35-0 over the Giants in game 1, 31-21 last week over Denver at home. Right now it's 6-3, and the Vikings have a 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line, trailing by that trio of points. Robert Smith, Charles Evans in the backfield. Evans, number 29, lead blocker. He starts in motion. Boone to throw. Into the flat for Robert Smith. Boy, there was nothing out there. Godfrey Miles, the linebacker, number 98, was the only one out there.
And Godfrey Miles had that thing covered all over the place. I mean, remember, Godfrey Miles is really their 4th outside linebacker. Darren Smith, you mentioned they haven't been able to sign him yet, holding out. But Godfrey Miles was the guy that was played in part of that depth thing that Dallas has had. And when you thought about Dallas winning those 2 championships a couple of years ago, I think that would distinguish them was their depth. They're still awfully good, the best right now, but they don't have the depth they had a couple of years ago.
3rd and goal, 6-3 Dallas.
Got to give Chris Carter a chance.
Boom, touchdown! Jake Reed. Emmitt Smith. There are a couple of contrasting ends of the spectrum.
Well, each team has had a turnover, and each team has turned it into a touchdown.
First time Dallas has trailed this year.
And what you like with Jake Reed is his size. He is 6'3", and he is physical. And he's matched up against Clayton Holmes at 5'10". He gets inside position. The game is over. When you have that size advantage and you get inside position, it's over. You win. You score.
First touchdown of the season for Jake Reed. The extra point by Revés is up and good. Clayton Holmes, who is occupying a spot filled by Kevin Smith, out with an Achilles injury. And this time, the battle is won by the taller guy. Turn the kickoff. The GMC truck leaders, Emmitt Smith, and these are up-to-date stats with 300 yards now in 2 games in the quarter. Natrone Means of San Diego only 3 back. Barry Sanders at 290. Terry Allen at 272. Robert Smith at 228. So Emmitt Smith will be the leader at the end of week 3, but right now that is the farthest thing from his mind.
Well, you know, he had 7 carries for 8 yards or more a week ago. I mean, the consistency, not only throughout the game, but week in, week out of Emmitt Smith is remarkable.
Reveiz kicks it off. Kevin Williams at the 9. Oh, he's dangerous. Out to the 31-yard line. Richard Brown again and Fernando Smith collaborate on the tackle, and the Cowboy offense will come back on the field.
But you know, this is a team that you mentioned them being behind for the first time this year. Clearly, they don't panic. These guys have played together for a long time. They're stars. When you think about, you know, Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and Novacek and Tuanay Newton, they've all played at least 6 years together.
And they've got a few years left.
Absolutely. They're all signed to at least 4 more years.
First and 10, Dallas, backs in the eye. Smith and Johnson behind Troy Aikman. Play action. Aikman wanted to go deep. He settles instead short. And the catch is made by Emmitt Smith, beg your pardon. The tackle made by Dwayne Washington.
Want to amend that. They're all signed except for Emmitt Smith. He only has 1 year left, but they're stars, so they're going to be around here for a long time. I mean, Emmitt Smith can you know, he can hit a home run. You know, his first carry this year was 60 yards, and then he can kind of nickel and dime you. You know, he just kind of stay out here and catch a little pass like this, make a guy miss, and you kind of bleed a slow death. You know, he can body punch you, and then he can knock you out.
Defense number 87. It's a 5-yard penalty and automatic first down.
Called 87. That's a tight end, so that's the wrong number. But it is against the Vikings and moves it out to the 35-yard line.
Denny Green finds himself in a division that is going to, again, I think, go down to last week. No clear favorite in the NFC Central.
Well, Detroit loses again this afternoon. Green Bay's won a couple now. You know, I was thinking about Emmitt Smith's first run of the season, 60 yards against the Giants. They haven't recovered from that one run.
No.
And they're 0-3. And here Minnesota leads at 10-6, 13:42 to go in the first half of play. Michael Irvin comes near side, number 88. Novacek in motion. Smith. Flag is down on the far side. Smith is down at the 40-yard line.
Even when you think you've done a pretty good job of defensing Emmitt Smith, he picks up 5 yards. I mean, that wasn't bad defense. Good lead block by Darrell Johnston, too.
Offside by the defense, number 92, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's Roy Barker, the left defensive end. Had a sack of Aikman on the first drive. Our coverage of the NFL on TNT continues next Sunday with the Coors Light Pro Football Tonight pregame show at 7 o'clock Eastern. Then at 8 o'clock, we'll watch the Green Bay Packers take on the Jacksonville Jaguars from Jacksonville Municipal Stadium next Sunday right here on TNT.
Boy, did Reggie White have another day today.
I thought about that. Nate Newton last night did a marvelous impression of Reggie White. He sounds just like him. Aikman pumps, goes deep, man-for-man coverage, and it's over the head of Michael Irvin. Good coverage from Corey Fuller, number 27, the rookie from Florida State.
You know, that's one thing you don't see much of the Cowboys, throwing the ball down the field deep. I mean, they run those skinny posts in the ends and things, but they don't throw the ball downfield a lot since Alvin Harper left. Now, you're going to see the pressure that Aikman gets. I think it's John Randall who takes a pretty good shot. I mean, Troy Aikman, as any of the top quarterbacks in the league are, he is top first. He's a football player first, a quarterback second.
Notice he's got that plastic chin strap on again. 3 stitches in his chin again last week. He said he's had stitches every season since he was a senior in high school. Emmitt Smith to the 41-yard line, and that will bring up a third down.
This defense did a great job with Barry Sanders last week, and they're doing a pretty good job so far tonight. He has 6 carries, 24 yards, and they are getting a lot of purple jerseys around Emmitt Smith.
That man is going to turn 40 this year in October, that man being Tony Dungy. Someday the doors are going to open. He's going to be a head coach. It's just got to happen.
I don't understand why it hasn't already happened.
It's an amazing thing. Corey Fleming in at wide receiver now on 3rd down and 5. That's short of the first down at the 45-yard line. Dwayne Washington and Robert Griffin. 20 and 24, respectively.
Good defensive ball game here. I mean, Barry Switzer felt they could throw on the Vikings, but they haven't been able to run particularly well. But just like Barry Sanders didn't really have anywhere to run last week, they played 8-man up near the line of scrimmage. I mean, every gap seems to be filled here. And you get 2 guys sometimes in the gap, and that means you're going to be punting a lot.
John Jett is on to punt for the 3rd time. David Palmer waits for it. This could be returned. No. It bounces in front of Palmer, and it goes out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Make it the 6. We've got a ball game. 11:37 to go, first half. 10-6 Vikings. And the Dallas Cowboys all this week, up to and including the game tonight, for a special TNT presentation called 6 Days to Sunday. It'll be a 90-minute show that will air on TNT on November 8th and on subsequent dates. They do such a wonderful job. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all comes out.
That's only because you were in the thing. How many times are you going to watch it?
Now you're making me blush. And at 55, I don't blush well. Everett Lindsey stays in at right guard. Warren Moon has hit his last 7 passes. See how conservative he keeps it here. He'll throw it. He goes deep, right side to Chris Morgan. And good coverage by Brock Marion and Darren Woodson of the Cowboys.
Yeah, a lot of things happen when you're a quarterback in the NFL. You know, we sometimes take for granted a simple completion, but the protection has to be right. You've got bodies flying all over the place. But what he did there was just give only one player a chance to catch that ball, and that was Chris Carter. And when you're backed up in the end zone, it's the right play. But they need a first down desperately. You can't afford to give Dallas good field position all night long. They need a first down in this series.
2nd and 10 now from the 6. Moon across the middle, incomplete. In and out of the hands. Should have been caught.
Yeah, should have been caught. Should have been caught. And those are the kind of plays you look back on and you say, geez, you know, we ended up having to punt out of our own end zone when you maybe could have got the first down. Would have been a tough catch, but that was catchable by Robert Smith.
Brings up a 3rd and 10. Minnesota is 3 of 5 on 3rd down conversions early in the game. Treacherous play now. Moon 7 of 10.
Well, here's one of those situations again where those big physical receivers, Jake Reed and Chris Carter. But a lot of teams have one physical receiver. These guys have 2 of them.
Moon the time, drills it across the middle to Carter, first down. That one was a rope at the 17-yard line. And a big play for Warren Moon and Chris Carter.
Yeah, Chris Carter is not a wide receiver. He's a football player. A lot like Michael Irvin. I mean, you start with those guys, and they're always making the tough ones. And that was another big play. Not a long play, Vern, but when you need it on 3rd down, he's the slot receiver, number 80, and Warren Moon is waiting for him to get open. He's holding the ball even though he's in the pocket. He clears the linebacker, and then the ball is zipped inside to him. That's a heck of a play.
Carter's 2nd catch of the night, first down and 10. Leads in motion, and Robert Smith is jammed up. Russell Maryland was quick off the ball that time and beat Everett Lindsey, got through for the stop. People tend to forget that this guy was the #1 draft choice in the NFL in '91.
And it was because of plays like this. I mean, he is a gap kind of player, a lot like John Randall. I mean, if you don't get your hands on him early in the play, he's going to disrupt the play. And he did right there. And he's breathing better because he's got one of those nose things. Whoops! Charles Haley. He is as disruptive as a hyperactive child. I mean, he is always going to come off the corner, and then sometimes he's going to fake it and come inside. And the Vikings said, hey, we had to have 4 different ways to try to block him tonight. Well, they haven't done a particularly good job of blocking Charles Haley. Number 94 is going to come in from the right. This time it's an inside move. Goes right by Jeff Christie, the center, and McDaniel. I mean, you're so worried about him beating you to the outside, you forget every once in a while he's going to stop and come inside on you.
That's the first sack of the night for Warren Moon and the Vikings. They look at a 3rd and 22, and this ball is whistled down.
You have to be real careful in this situation for 2 reasons. One, you can't...
game by the offense. After this is to the goal, it remains 3rd down.
Okay, one, clearly you can't throw the interception. But 2, your offensive lineman can't have a penalty in the end zone. It's a safety. So, you know, one thing Warren's saying, hey, if you're going to hold, don't do it in the end zone. Make sure it's on the 2-yard line. I don't mind you holding and protect me. Just don't do it in the end zone.
Right. 3rd and 25. John Jarrett is on the field down to the 46. Behind Jake Reed, and the Vikings will have to punt from their own end zone.
And Joe Avezzano's special teams can block punts and kicks. They have had 13 block punts and kicks over the last 5 years, and they always put pressure on the punter. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they come after Mike Saxon right now.
Mike Saxon, the former Cowboy, as well as a former Patriot. Make sure he doesn't have his heel on the back line. They do not come. They've got the return on. Saxon nice and high. Kevin Williams at the 50. All in all, not bad downfield coverage. Orlando Thomas, number 43, made the tackle. Remember the story we told you about Mike Saxon getting taped this week? Orlando Thomas got taped yesterday. The rookie was late to practice with the donuts. He'll learn.
Yeah.
Hammer sells arms. Inspired by the 7 deadly sins.
Gluttony, greed.
I hate this city.
You can expect 5 more.
They know his motive.
His murders are sermons to us.
They know his game.
I've gone and done it again.
7 deadly sins. 7 ways to die.
Have you ever seen anything like this? No.
7. Rated R. Starts Friday.
9:20 to go, first half of play. Vikings lead at 10-6. Remember, we told you how difficult it was to contain Dallas. They had only 1 3-and-out series in their first 21 drives in games 1 and 2. Well, tonight, take a look at this. They've had 3 punts and 2 3-and-out drives.
That's just good defense by the Vikings. I mean, they have really kind of taken away the run of Emmitt Smith, and that's where the Cowboys start.
Aikman under his center. Ray Donaldson will throw on first down. Right flat. That's good. In front of Corey Fleming. Number 27, Michael Irvin.
Think about the Cowboys, though, Vern. You know, you let them hang around, and sooner or later they are going to, you know, they're going to come up with some big plays. And Michael Irvin has a tremendous cushion there. That's a little bit easy. That's too easy. I mean, that's on the rookie Corey Fuller. And there's Jay Novacek. And he has not been a factor yet tonight, but I still maintain you've got to jam him at the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, he's going to kill you.
First and 10 from the 27-yard line. Play action again. Aikman settles for the short man, Emmitt Smith. And he moves it down near the 22-yard line. That's a pickup of maybe 6. It'll be second down and 4. The Cowboys, by the way, making this trip up from Dallas yesterday, did not get off to a great start. Their charter flight was delayed 2.5 hours and mechanical. They actually sat in the plane for that time and then had to change planes. They got here about 6:30 last night. The luggage did arrive with them, which is good news.
Yeah, you need it in this game. You need the luggage to arrive.
Second and 5 at the 8-minute mark. Jack Del Rio, who played for a number of years in Dallas. came to Minnesota as a Plan B selection.
You know, this is a guy you could depend upon, Jack Del Rio. Just started his 100th game. Actually, he's never missed a practice the last 4 years for the Vikings. I mean, a guy you know he's going to show up. He's been very effective in the passing game. You see his tackles there. And over the last 2 years, nobody's intercepted, no linebacker has intercepted more passes than he. He's intercepted 7.
3rd and 4. Kevin Williams comes left. Aikman, slant back. Not dropped. It was knocked away by Corey Fuller, the rookie. That was just a good defensive play.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of them. We have seen a lot of good defensive plays, really by both teams. But Corey Fuller, the rookie, and we talked to him this week, he said, you know, I'm nervous, but I'm not intimidated. I mean, I'm looking forward to the challenge. I have a chance to distinguish myself, and he did right there.
Okay, trivia question for the night. What do Corey Fuller and Deion Sanders have in common?
University.
Yep, Florida State. They got the same
cellular
agent.
phone, so.
Yeah. Bonio. That thing looks like a Hoyt Wilhelm pitch. It knuckled in there, though, and the Cowboys get on the board following the 39-yard field goal. 10-9. Vikings get the ball back when we return.
It's cookout time, and who's got lower prices that really cook? Well, your low-price leader, Winn-Dixie, of course. Recently, we checked the competitors' prices. We purchased a variety of cookout items and compared price for price at Winn-Dixie and Albertsons. And look at this, cookout fans. Winn-Dixie was 18% lower than Albertsons. That's right, 18% lower. So who really puts the sizzle in savings? Winn-Dixie, home of a lower total food bill and more.
The Hulkster in Thunder in Paradise. Just your typical Monday night gun-running, wrestling, mercenary treasure hunter in a Mighty Morphin powerboat kind of show. Experience Thunder in Paradise, Mondays at 8 on TNT. Followed by the explosive action of WCW Monday Nitro, live on TNT.
7-12 remaining first half. Minnesota leading by a 10-9 count. And the Vikings getting ready to return the kickoff. Warren Moon had a streak of 7 in a row at one point, but his fumble recovered by the Cowboys led to a 19-yard touchdown. The missed extra point has proven the difference in the game right now. Here's John Baker to kick off. This one will be returned. It's David Palmer coming up to the 8-yard line. And Palmer is popped as he gets out across the 20 to the 23-yard line.
Let's go, Larry!
Reggie Barnes, number 56, for the tackle, and here come the Vikings.
Well, you know, their defense has played well. Their special teams have played well. The offense really hasn't done, you know, a lot tonight. The one thing they have done is been able to get Robert Smith involved in the game. He's got 49 yards already on 9 carries. He had one long run of 44 yards.
Yeah, I think that's a significant part. Actually, he's got 8 carries for 5 yards if you take away the 44-yarder.
Good man.
Well, I got my calculator out. Jake Reed. That'll move the sticks out to the 40-yard line.
You know, we were talking about it, Vern, a little bit, is, you know, everybody seems to have one of these big guys. What makes the Vikings a little bit different, I think they have 2 of these big guys. And, you know, the play just starts when they catch the ball because they're strong and they can break tackles. They can break tackles like a good running back or make guys miss. And, you know, Jake Reed was a big difference for them a year ago. 85 catches. The year before, he only found 11. So he had a breakout year ago.
That's a gain of 16 and a first down at the 40-yard line. Robert Smith, oh dear. Robert Jones.
Robert in that play.
Yes. Smith and Jones.
Yeah. There's a guy you have to admire, though, Robert Jones. And he played this play perfectly. He is number 55, the middle linebacker right here. But he fought through some things, and he fought through some traffic right here. Goes through McDaniel. It just smothers Robert Smith. You know, he was drafted to be the starting middle linebacker, then got in, and they won a championship. Next year he gets demoted, but you have to admire he didn't quit. Kept fighting, kept practicing. He's back starting again. He's had a very good start to the season.
Time has called by the Vikings. I think the play clock may have been winding down, and Warren Moon said, let's stop the clock and talk it over. So they have 2 remaining. Second down and 11, and a 10-9 Minnesota lead. Vikings trying to go 2-1 and hand the Cowboys their first defeat. Next week, our circus moves on to Jacksonville, Florida. Recognize this guy? The Jaguars will meet Reggie White next week as the Green Bay Packers travel down to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we'll be there next Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the NFL on TNT.
And they may be facing a former Packer at quarterback, Mark Brunell, whom Philadelphia really wanted as their quarterback. We ended up in Jacksonville, and I think Mark Brunell is going to be a heck of a player one of these days.
We'll be there. In the meantime, we've got 2 2/4 and about 5 minutes to go here. Amp Lee is on, as are Jake Reed, Chris Carter, Andrew Jordan, and Kadri Ismail. It was Ismail who caught an 85-yarder for the decisive touchdown and went over Detroit last week. A deflected pass. 4-man rush. Moon rolls out, finds his tight end, and they move the ball out to the 48-yard line. Does Adrian Cooper, and Dixon Edwards makes the tackle. Nice play.
Actually, Andrew Jordan there, the other tight end. He's that receiving tight end, and Cooper's that blocking tight end.
I knew that.
Yeah, I knew you knew that. But I'll tell you, that's a nice little play-action fake. They get you in that third and short. I mean, they have mixed it up a little bit, the Vikings have, where they try to throw the ball to the big wide receivers, and that off a little boot action to get away from Charles Haley.
3rd and 1.
That's a big little play again.
Right.
I mean, and a patient throw by Warren Moon. He wanted to throw this ball out into the left flat. He wanted to throw this to Robert Smith in the left flat, and he was taken away. But he didn't rush it, even though he knew there was a blitz. Courageous in the pocket. He finds number 80, Chris Carter, and even though it's only a 3 or 4 yard gain, that's still a big little play or a little big play.
I like that. One I prefer. Strong play. Robert Smith breaks the tackle. This is what Danny Green said surprised so many people about Robert Smith, that he breaks tackles. He's much stronger than you think.
And what he says is that I wouldn't release Terry Allen until I found out that he was strong enough and tough enough, and he is.
Let's take a look at the Lee Sports scoreboard. Get you up to date on what happened today. Arizona comes from behind and wins that one. 2nd down and 6. 10-9 is our score. Carter in motion. Blitz again. Dandy. Warren Moon saw the blitz, had a slant pattern. Jake Reed says we're going that way.
A perfect throw and a physical catch. Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator, was saying to us this week, we need to have Jake Reed really step up and have a game. Well, he's done that in the first half when they've needed him. It's those short slant passes, and you've got some physical plays, and that's Jake Reed's 4th catch of the night.
Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator. 1st down and 10 at the 30-yard line. They hand it inside to Charles Evans. 3rd-year running back from Clark Atlanta College.
The other thing that Minnesota is doing is controlling the time of possession, which is a key thing against this Dallas team. I mean, Dallas has so many weapons on offense, and they beat you a lot of different ways, but they're really controlling the ball, and they've been able to score as well.
Cowboys looked unbeatable in games 1 and 2 this year. Remember last year, game 3, Monday night, they lost to Detroit. So no time of possession.
Yeah, there you go. I don't remember, but thanks for reminding me.
They fake the toss. Moon rolls out. Tony Tolbert right in his face, and he finds Jordan, the tight end, to the 30-yard line. But Tony Tolbert was introducing himself to Warren Moon.
And Tony Tolbert was talking to us yesterday saying, hey, the one thing about Warren Moon, you can't let him get started, because if he gets started well, he is very tough to stop. Second time they've run this boot in a row. And with an aggressive defense, a defense that hits a lot of gaps, there's a lot of movement, an effective play, the boot play. They've done it twice successfully.
3rd and 5, 10-9, as we near the 2-minute warning. Lee is the running back. Burns, quick setup, and that ball is knocked away by Darren Woodson, number 28.
It tells you something, though, Vern, about how the Cowboys feel about Darren Woodson, a strong safety, when they line him up on Chris Carter one-on-one, and then he does a job like that. Darren Woodson is a heck of a player. In the slot is Chris Carter, number 80. Woodson gets his hands on him within the 5-yard zone and then knocks the ball away. That's good defense by Woodson.
And that's going to bring on Fuad Revez to try a 48-yard field goal. This would be his 32nd in a row. He's had one of 48 in this streak. He also had one of 51 yards. He's made his last 31. Fuad Revez, Mike Morris will snap it. Mike Saxon will hold it. And the streak is over. His brother Carlos, who is a kicker at Tennessee, is here, and I'm sure he'll commiserate with his brother Fuad when this game is over. The streak ends at 31. Matt Stover of the Cleveland Browns is now the current holder. He's hit 23 in a row.
We stood side by side with Mike Boren when he laid 90,000 feet of sod. We carried the team's equipment when Mike Jr. pitched his first game. Then we chauffeured the whole family off to Angelo's to celebrate. GMC Sierra, with standard 4-wheel ABS and the same steel ladder frame built into our commercial trucks, it's a truck built for the way you live. Sierra is built for life. See the full line of GMC trucks at your GMC truck dealer.
Riders, jeans, and casual clothes. We studied hundreds, thousands of regular folks to learn their shapes and sizes. And then designed jeans that give them a great-looking fit. You'll find it's like we knew your size exactly, somehow. Riders jeans, cut to make real people look real good.
Fuad Revez still pacing on the sidelines, thinking no doubt about that missed 48-yarder that saw the streak come to an end with 31 consecutive field goals. Had his son Nicholas with him at practice yesterday morning. Introduced us to Nick as his summer holder.
Yeah. And Nick knew how to do it. Get the laces away, he said.
Right.
Toward the goalpost.
First and 10, Dallas. They trail by 1. Aikman gets back, goes deep left side. That's a bounce pass, and it's incomplete in the hands of Michael Irvin.
It's amazing. This first half, Dallas only has 70 total yards, 27 rushing yards. Now, mind you, they came into this game, averaging 197 yards rushing. They've dominated people, but the Viking defense has kind of kept them on their heels.
Coming up for the Fruit of the Loom halftime report, Vince Giuliani, the no-huddle highlights, a fast-paced look at the big plays of the day. Ernie Johnson will have a special guest. That's a minute 56 away from now, 2nd and 10. Stunts by the Viking defense. Aikman goes right side. Michael Irvin at the 41 of Minnesota.
That ball was thrown with some velocity. The pass before was not. That thing was thrown on time with velocity, and there's no reaction time when you throw it that hard to Michael Irvin.
21-yard gain, first down. Cowboys do have all 3 timeouts left. Bobbled the ball, and Aikman fell on it.
I think he was wondering whether somebody swiped the ball, maybe. He calls a timeout.
Cowboys use one of theirs, and they have 2 left.
The ball came up. He started. The snap was started, and it looked like it stopped. It looked like a double clutch on the snap. But in any event, you know, you could look at it one of 2 ways. You know, the Cowboy offense is out of sync, or the Viking defense is playing awfully well.
Ray Donaldson is the new center, of course. Mark Stepnoski took free agency and departed Dallas. Donaldson, 16 years with the Colts, Seattle.
And, you know, you think about this offensive line, and you know, Hudson Houck, the offensive line coach, maybe the assistant coach of the year thus far in the NFL, because, you know, they had to replace Stepnoski, as you said. Larry Allen's a new guy at right guard. Eric Williams, they've had to rehabilitate them, and yet the beat goes on. I mean, these guys, they put some new guys in there, they give the ball to Emmett, and generally think good things happen.
From the 43, 2nd down and 12. 10-9, Minnesota leads it. Aikman gets pressured. Johnson has it, and even in Minnesota, the moose call is heard. Well, appropriately in Minnesota, you get a moose call.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, where else would you get a moose call but up here?
Well, this is your old stomping grounds, you old Swede, Norwegian, you.
Yompen Yemeni.
Oh, yeah? Can you name 3 words that begin with FJ other than fjord? Come on. Huh? Get back to me.
I've got to think about that one. I wondered where you were last night. You're in the library again, huh? Time has been called. Dwayne Washington is the injured Viking, and time has been called by Minnesota. So they have 1 left. Coming up after the game tonight, TNT presents a tribute to a quarterback who led the 49ers to 4 Super Bowl victories. Watch a special encore presentation of Joe Montana, The Fire Inside, tonight on TNT. That's following the Steel post-game report.
Well, thinking of Super Bowl quarterbacks, Troy Aikman has 2 of them under his belt. I think by the age of 27, I believe he has won 2 Super Bowls, and this is a team that is very focused. We talked to them, and they're concerned about all the distractions, but they feel like they can do it again. Number 20 is Dwayne Washington, the injured player. He took a shot right in the neck.
He's back up on his feet now. By the way, we've not had any official report on Chris Hinton, the offensive guard who was taken to the locker room earlier in this half. We'll get that shortly, I would assume. And Washington's going to stay in the game, so it'll be 3rd and 2. Yeah, Aikman has solidly established. I think back to what Bill Parcells told us in preseason when he talked about quarterbacks in the league and the great ones, and he said, I know Troy Aikman's got it, whatever it is.
The total package.
The total package. He said, I think Marino's got it. I know Aikman's got it. Pretty good tribute. He's back. Boy, you don't see that very often. Whoa, man.
A very uncharacteristic performance, an offensive performance by the Cowboys tonight. I mean, a fumble by Smith, a drop by Jabe Novacek. You got the matchup you wanted on a linebacker, Thomas. Perfectly thrown ball, and they're going to go for it. Now, 4th and 2, ordinarily, is a passing down. But when you have a guy like Emmitt Smith, I think you can do either. I think you can take a chance and give him the ball, and certainly you can throw it.
Thus far this year, the Cowboys 2 of 2 on 4th down. 4th and 2. Smith behind his right tackle. Aikman will throw. Got it. Irvin. That'll be a first down at the 31.
Michael Irvin over the middle of the field again. If you don't defend the middle against the Cowboys, you're in trouble. Because that's where most of their key plays come. In the running game and in the passing game.
Aikman. Kevin Williams. Incomplete. Good defensive job.
As we see Kevin Williams burn, I think for the Cowboys, they have to find a replacement for Alvin Harper. They're hoping Kevin Williams can be the guy. The Vikings found the replacement for Anthony Carter and Jake Reed. The Cowboys need to find that replacement for Alvin Harper. They hope Kevin Williams can be the guy, but they're not going to have the dynamic long passes they had a year ago with Alvin Harper.
Kevin Williams had this one in his hands. Good defensive job by Broderick Thomas. It's second down and 10. Back split, studs and a blitz. And good protection from Aikman. He draws it at the 15-yard line. First down, Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin's a great loose ball receiver. I mean, the ball's in the air. He considers it his. Now Jay Novacek, number 84, kind of sets up the deep throw. He kind of occupies kind of people in the middle. And, you know, that's a nice play. He kind of short-armed him intentionally because he knew Michael Irvin was behind him. I mean, the short arm wasn't fear. The short arm was because he felt Irvin behind him.
Yeah, no alligator arms there.
I knew it was coming. Yeah. Well, those are the intentional alligator arms there.
The trouble is he has that same posture when the check comes.
Well, you know, now you find yourself in a situation, you know, you played well all first half. I'm talking about Minnesota. And you think you're going to go into the halftime with a lead, and then a methodical Cowboy team. Sometimes they can, you know, beat you with big plays, and then they can just kind of wear you down with that offensive line. And this has been a methodical drive. Still have one timeout remaining.
They've got a first and 10 at the 14-yard line, and they trail by 1. Backs in the eye. Play action. Aikman flips it out to Johnson. He drops it. Wow.
Very strange evening for the Cowboys.
In the land of the Moose.
Yeah.
That one didn't fit.
Well, Jay Novacek drops the ball. We don't see that often. Daryl Johnson drops the ball. You don't see that much. Troy Aikman hasn't really been on. He's thrown a couple of balls into the dirt. But the last couple of throws to Michael Irvin, though, he actually really drilled the ball well. But this
I'm telling you, blame it on the mechanical device.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was the airplane.
Emmitt Smith only 27 yards in the first half.
The Cowboys have been perfect so far this season inside the 20.
Why not get Michael Irvin another shot?
Post pattern.
We got him doubled.
There's Novacek. He's down at the 7. 25 seconds remaining in the first half. That is short of the first down. It'll be third.
And they got one timeout remaining. You know, this is a play you have to be careful on. You're thinking first down. He's going to use it. He's going to burn it. Smart play.
The clock, yes.
Yeah, generally when the clock gets under 20 seconds, you use your timeout, even if you only have one left. This is too important of a play. Third and 2, you have to have the right play. You can't rush yourself. And sometimes you got to win ugly. And thus far, this first half, it has been ugly for the Cowboys.
Are you thinking at this point anything at all about the first down? Or you think touchdown?
No, I think you're still thinking about the first down.
Are you? Okay.
Oh, yeah. At 15 seconds, you can get it up and you can still die it. Now, you can, again, I still think with a guy like Emmett, there's Ernie Zampese, the offensive coordinator. I mean, there's a chance you could still slip him the ball inside.
Yeah, the matching of wits between Ernie Zampese and Tony Dungy.
Well, they both had their moments this evening.
The Cowboys have used their last timeout. And they face a third down and 2 now, trailing by 1, 10-9.
Okay, the Vikings better jam Jay Novacek at the line of scrimmage. Don't let him have a clean release.
Johnson starts in motion. 4-man rush. Aikman scrambles, shovels it. They got him short of the first down. It's fourth down, and the clock is running. They can't stop it.
Got to get up and die it.
They can't stop it.
Throw it. Throw it. Nope. That's good defense.
Wow.
Good defense and poor clock management. That's an excellent half of defense by the Minnesota Vikings. Really is.
To a degree, Barry Switzer's offensive team shot itself in its collective foot, but the Viking defense should get a lot of credit. There's Emmitt Smith, and there's Broderick Thomas, and a huge play by Thomas, the linebacker. The clock runs out on the Cowboys. First time this season, they have been stopped inside the red zone. We're at the halftime. It's 10-9 Minnesota.
The nights on TNT. The game is just a little more intense. The hits a little harder. The plays a little more drastic. And only winners know the score. No, really. When you're watching Sunday Night NFL on TNT, and we call you with a 2-minute warning, and you know the score, you're going to next week's game. In the NFL on TNT 2 minutes to win sweepstakes. Winners receive choice seats, stay in a Courtyard by Marriott hotel room, and drive in style in an Avis rent-a-car. A new chance to win each week. Plus, know the score in our last game when you're going to Super Bowl 30 in Phoenix. Pick up an entry form at any Courtyard by Marriott hotel or Avis location, or send a postcard with your name, address, age, and phone number to NFL on TNT 2 minutes to win. P.O. Box 460683, St. Louis, Missouri 63146. Now the rules. When you know the score, you win with Sunday Night NFL on TNT.
Sunday afternoon. The NFL player lives for it, hungers for it. He's a guided missile aimed at Sunday afternoon. He's primed and timed to go off like a 10-ton warhead when the ref's whistle blows. So what do you think happens when he can't hit anyone? Till Sunday night. Sunday Night NFL on TNT. Primetime intensity.
The Fruit of the Loom Pro Football Tonight halftime report is brought to you by Fruit of the Loom, always in season.
10-9 is your halftime score from the MetroDome in Minneapolis. The Vikings over the Dallas Cowboys. And welcome back to our TNT studios in Atlanta, the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. I'm Vince Cellini, and time enough for our no-huddle highlights. I can't do this alone. I need my partner, Mark May. We're running out of the no-huddle. We don't have a lot of time. Let's get right to it. The no-huddle highlights. Highlights from across the league, and we start in San Francisco. New England at the Niners. Yeah, Dion Who. They didn't need him today. A lot of offense. Steve Young to Jerry Rice. For 2 touchdowns, the Niners just walloping the Patriots 28-3. The final at 3 count.
Washington Redskins at Denver's Mile High Stadium. Last-second heroics once again for Bronco quarterback John Elway. On the final play of the game, he finds Rod Smith for the 43-yard touchdown pass into the end zone for the win. Excited John Elway and his teammates. They beat the Washington Redskins 38-31.
He comes from behind to win games sometimes. Cincinnati at Seattle. Seahawks coach Dennis Erickson looking for his first NFL win. Rick Meyer helped him out. Meyer with his best game easily of the year, rolling out, and Rob Thomas is behind everyone in the end zone. That's a 50-yard touchdown pass. Pelfrey missed a late field goal that would have tied it 24-21. It's the Seahawks.
The Bears at the Buccaneers. A tough day in Tampa is evidenced by rookie Rashawn Salam's helmet. Up by 13 points in the third quarter, the Bears' Anthony Marshall blocks Reggie Roby's punt and returns it for the touchdown. A tough day for the Buccaneers. The Bears sink the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 25-6.
The Jags and the Jets. Somebody had to win a ball game. Rich Kotite hoping it was his team. And it was. He got a big day from Boomer Esiason to Boomer to the air 3 times for touchdowns. This one to the rookie tight end Kyle Brady out of Penn State. 27-10 Jets.
San Diego at the vet in Philadelphia. Ray Rhodes keeping a close eye on Randall Cunningham. This pass goes to Kelvin Williams, who is drilled by Willie Clark and fumbles. But Junior Seau, Johnny on the spot, picks the ball up and returns it 25 yards for his first NFL touchdown. The San Diego Chargers hang on and beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-21.
Junior on the spot. Junior on the spot. Oakland at Kansas City. The rivalry renewed.
Arizona at Detroit. Late in the fourth quarter, Buddy Ryan looking for a miracle for his first win of the season. Is he going to get one? Yes, he does. On 4th and 10, Dave Craig steps up in the pocket, finds Anthony Edwards in the end zone. 24-yard touchdown, and once again, Detroit snatches victory out of the jaws of defeat. 20-17, Arizona to Detroit.
All right, Atlanta at New Orleans. And Saints fans, yeah, they love Morton Anderson, but now he's an Atlanta Falcon. In the game, in overtime, Jeff George to Eric Metcalf on a short yardage situation, and that's down to the 3-yard line. And it was just money after that. Morton Anderson, the late field goal, this time as a Falcon. He said afterward, there's got to be a movie made about this.
St. Louis and Carolina, Panther quarterback trying to figure out how to beat the tough Ram defense, but they can't. Roman Pfeiffer nails Willie Green in from behind to force the fumble. Anthony Parker picks it up. The loose ball, runs it in for the touchdown. No Lambs, no more. These Rams are 3-0 and headed to Tempe, Arizona. The Rams over Carolina, 31-10.
Indianapolis at Buffalo. Craig Erickson, sit. It was Jim Harbaugh today, but you know what? The Bills got a break near the goal line in this one. Thurman Thomas fumbling. Quentin Coryack should have had it there. He didn't. Carwell Garner pounced on it for a touchdown. That was a gift. Buffalo needed it, 20-14, beating the Colts.
Cleveland goes to that wonderful AstroTurf down in Houston at the Astrodome. Oilers backup quarterback Will Fuhr calling for help, but no one answers. After 4 interceptions, he watches quarterback Vinny Testaverde find Michael Thriller Jackson for the 35-yard touchdown pass. Cleveland edges Houston 14-7.
And finally this, the winless Giants at Green Bay in the Packer Hall of Fame. Perhaps someday Brett Favre will take his place among the Packer greats. Here's Favre to Robert Brooks. Nice catch in the end zone for the touchdown. And on defense, the #1 in the NFL coming in. And look at Reggie White draw a bead on Dave Brown and drop him. The Giants were held to just 2 field goals. They're 0-3. The Pack winning 14-6. Our score at halftime in the Metrodome. The Vikings 10-9 over the Cowboys. We'll be right back with a special surprise guest in a moment.
How do you know if something is fruit?
Well, is it wholesome?
Is it natural?
What about variety? Is it homegrown?
Is it sweet? Is it fresh?
Did you wash it? Then it's fruit.
Fruit of the loom, always in season.
You know, I never really learned my school fight song.
Oh, I know it.
Hell, alma mater.
For either feeling so true.
Here's some music.
They lit up scoreboards from Ann Arbor to Tuscaloosa. They were warriors of Saturday afternoon.
Sons of Notre Dame.
On to victory, strike up the band.
Now relive it all with Burger King Legends of College Football Cups. Free when you upsize your Whopper value meal for just 39 cents. Obviously, a wiser choice than a fight song album.
Basketball is back on TNT. Join us October 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern for the first ever World Club Championship of Basketball. The NBA champion Houston Rockets will take on the Australian League champions, followed by another semifinal contest. Welcome back to the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. The Vikings at home and leading the Cowboys 10-9 at the half, but we're going to stay with the basketball theme as we toss back out to Ernie Johnson at the Met. Ernie?
Yeah, Vince, we've been talking during the first half about the special guest, and I have the pleasure of introducing him, and we've even got a marching band here. The thing is that big. Here, I'll give you a few hints on who this guy might be. 14 NBA seasons, 7 of those with the Boston Celtics, won himself a couple of championship rings. From that point, he moved on to Sacramento for a couple of seasons, to Portland for a couple of years. Are you getting the picture, folks, who this might be? Last 3 years of his career with the Phoenix Suns. And he joins us right now from Phoenix, Danny Ainge, the newest member of the Turner Sports family. It is our pleasure to welcome you as an NBA analyst on TNT and TBS, Danny. And I'm assuming this means the end of a basketball career.
Yeah, it does, Ernie, and I'm real excited about this opportunity and this new challenge that I have in my life.
Danny, let's talk about the NBA a little bit and about what the league has gone through over the past couple of months. It looks like things are scheduled to go. Will there be any residual effect of for instance, the Jordan faction, the Ewing faction? What do you think?
I really don't think so. I think things are going to go on as normal. I think you're going to see a lot of transactions over the next month, and the fans are going to get excited about the upcoming season, and I think it'll all be behind us once training camp gets underway.
Give me some insight into Charles Barkley's mindset these days. Is he going to play another year in Phoenix?
I hope Charles plays, Ernie. I've been looking forward to this chance to do TV just so I can get at Charles, along with all the other NBA officials. But I think Charles will play. He's indicated to me that he's anxious to get started again, and I haven't played with a more fun player ever, and I think it would be a tragedy if he were to end his career right now.
Danny, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining our family, too, and good luck to Michelle. I know you guys are expecting your 6th child. That's why you can't be here tonight. But, again, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to working with you. Danny Ainge, the newest member of the Turner Sports family. The second half is coming right up from the Metrodome.
The Fruit of the Loom Pro Football Tonight halftime report has been brought to you by Fruit of the Loom, always in season.
What does it take to win 2 Super Bowls in a row? I'll show you. That's me, Emmitt Smith of the Dallas Cowboys, MVP of Super Bowl 28 in the NFL. It's always a team effort that wins in the NFL, and it takes a team effort to be a winner in your community, whether it's here in Dallas or in your hometown. That winning team is the United Way. Right here in Dallas, we're helping people who really need our help. Through more than 100 agencies and programs, assuring your contribution is being spent wisely. These are the real MVPs, the most valuable people here in Dallas. How you doing? The list of people who need our help is long. But through the United Way agencies and programs, we can create an offense and a defensive line that can reach people who really need our help. Through the Salvation Army and so many more. United Way, reaching those who need help, touching us all.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
The NFL on TNT is brought to you by Isuzu, makers of incredible four-wheel drives, by Riders Jeans and Casual Clothes, and by Burger King, where you can get your burger's worth.
Halftime at the MetroDome in Minneapolis. The Minnesota Vikings leading by the measure of a mixed extra point. Chris Boniol, the first miss of his career. It's 10-9 right now, and a really interesting defensive struggle thus far, Pat.
Yeah, I think the fact that the Cowboys only have 27 yards rushing is a very telling statistic. I mean, they've been dominating the first 2 games running the football, but the Minnesota defense has really taken that away.
There are going to be some conversations, I would think, about clock management, the Cowboys at the end of the first half.
Yeah, they did not manage the clock well at all, and it was a big play by Broderick Thomas that really forced the expiration of time. Now, it was a clever little pitch play by Aikman, but that was really his 3rd or 4th choice. He was trying to get the ball downfield into the end zone. That was taken away by good defense, and they pitched the ball to him, and he did pick up the first.
Well, time now for the Riders game summary. 3rd down conversions, check that one out. Dallas hasn't made one yet. Time of possession, almost 6.5 minutes in favor of Minnesota. Emmitt Smith with 27 yards. Robert Smith, 44 of his 53 came on one play. The Cowboys will kick off, and David Palmer has it at the 10. Heads to his right, comes back up, and is dragged down as he gets to the 20-yard line.
You know, when you play the Cowboys, it's a measuring stick, you know. It's a measuring stick. In the first half, the Vikings have measured well. How about old Billy Bates, number 40, in his 13th year? I mean, he still has it. Still loves special teams. Bounces off a couple bodies. There you go.
I talked to Bill before the game. He and his wife, Denise, have been friends for those 13 years. He said they had their 5th child last July. That's the end.
That's it.
That's the end. They've got 5 now, including triplets.
Whoa.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The first 3 they had were triplets. Here's Chris Carter. And the tackle is made by Dixon Edwards as Carter gets out near the 26-yard line.
So they came in, and you talk about balanced attacks. When Dallas came into this game, they were the most balanced team in football. But they're a little bit out of whack in the first half. They threw 19 passes and only 9 rushes. And you see what Minnesota did. And that's why they controlled the game. You know, 18 minutes possession to 11. And change for Dallas.
10-9 is the score, 2nd down and 5. Double tight end set, Carter in motion. Robert Smith. Oh, boy.
Yeah, there have been some collisions, and Leon Lett looks like he's hurt. Boy, you know, Haley went out for a while with a hamstring. Lett bounces up, but this it underscores how the Cowboys are a little bit different. They do not have the proven depth that they've had in the past. And they got Chad Hennings, who's a good 3rd tackle. He's over McDaniels right here, number 64. You'll see him.
That's an all-pro guard he just shoved aside.
Yeah, McDaniel weighs 275 pounds. They just kind of disposed of him. There was a pile, one of those pile-up things. Same kind of thing they had with Chris Hansen.
Sack of Flower.
Yeah.
3rd and 6. Flower is spelled F-J-L-O-U-R.
There's one.
Flag is down. They may get a push-off here one way or the other. Let's see. This could go against Reed.
That's what the Cowboys are arguing. Well, speaking of push-offs, you know, you mentioned the anniversary of the past 20 years ago when Drew Pearson caught it. That was a classic push-off.
Well, only now is Drew conceding that maybe he touched Nate Wright.
Pass interference by the offense.
It's kind of a mini push, but he got busted. You know, if they're going to call defensive backs for all the little ticky-tack stuff, they should call the receivers from time to time, and they did there on Reed.
You know, that game was played at the old Metropolitan Stadium in December of 1975. The Cowboys came up here as a wild card play, and the Hail Mary pass is remembered by so many, but 2 plays before the Hail Mary, the Cowboys had a 4th and 16, and Roger Staubach hit Drew Pearson for a gain of 25. That was really a significant play out of that. Yeah, I think Drew may have pushed it.
You know, he did. Absolutely did. There's a penalty.
We're going to get it back.
Yeah.
Larry Brown hit Jake Reed.
But you know what? Not a bad penalty, because I think Jake Reed is going to blow by Larry Brown on that one. He didn't tackle him, but he did the next best thing. He made sure he was not going to run by him cleanly. So second half matchup, Jake Reed and Larry Brown going at it. Last time Larry Brown won the matchup. You know, that was an intentional interference by Larry Brown, and that is a smart play, Vern, because he was going to blow by him. He was beaten, and he knew it.
He applauded himself.
Yeah, he deserves to be applauded.
Sure did. That is the first Dallas penalty tonight. And it gives the Vikings a first down at the 35-yard line. 10-9 Minnesota. Carter comes left. Boone goes right. Pulls it back up, goes deep. Oh, Chris Carter and Larry Brown. Brock Marion was back as a center fielder, but Larry Brown had good coverage.
They did. But you give Chris Carter a chance. And that's all you can ask for. I mean, he's come up with some big plays on third downs. This was a first down, and they're trying to get him right down the seam. Good rush by Tony Tolbert. I mean, that kind of disrupted the rhythm and didn't allow Moon to set up. Here's the coverage at the end. So Larry Brown has been involved in a lot of plays to start this second half.
3 that we can think of.
Yeah.
Second and 10. I got my calculator.
You are. You're on your game tonight, Vern.
Oh, I tell you. Get me in the land of Lefse, and I just soar. There's a second down, and there's no game. Ampli, number 32. Todd Stussy, who started every offensive down last year as a rookie, going against Haley tonight.
He's number 73 there for the Vikings. That's a pretty good block by Stussy. And you mentioned it, every single play as a rookie as a left tackle. I mean, he learned some valuable lessons. He came to camp this year and told Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator, hey, I don't need as much help this year. I'm going to help the other rookie, Corey Stringer, who's playing right tackle.
Second year out of Cal. Third down and 9. No blitz. Moon gets pressure. Fires it. Incomplete. Almost picked off. Larry Brown again.
But Larry Brown's had a pretty good quarter, hasn't he, this far? In the first half, we saw him make some tackles, some physical plays. But the Vikings have been testing Larry Brown this second half, and he has responded. These guys have the cut on the nose the same place, I guess, because they're all wearing those Band-Aids. Well, everybody's cutting themselves shaving in the same spot.
I think they're making a fashion statement.
I think you're right. It's hard to get off those things.
Mark Saxon. Hey, if Jerry Rice does it, it's in vogue. Kevin Williams, the counter punch off the Saxon punt. He's out to the 28-yard line. And time has been called. The Cowboys get it back. They trail by 1. It's 10-9 Vikings.
TNT's got movies you gotta see. Why you gotta see them? That's why. See what everyone else steals from. Watch TNT's movies you gotta see. Starting Tuesday night at 8. Finally here, Dallas. Aycock Auto.
Aycock Auto is located at 3249 West Northwest Highway in Dallas.
Aycock Auto also has top name brand stereos such as Hyphonics,
Pioneer,
Orion,
JVC,
and Infinity. And don't forget, everything you purchase can be installed on-site with the hottest award-winning installation crew in the Metroplex.
For more information, call 214-351-2020. That's 351-2020.
Aycock Auto.
Now, about Harris Methodist Health Plan.
Look, here's what their members say.
More than 9 out of 10 are satisfied with their doctor's care.
More than 9 out of 10 members are planning to renew.
And over the past 6 years, 96% of the companies who joined Harris Methodist Health Plan are still there.
Kate, you've done your homework.
Well, it's my health plan, too.
Jaguars are young, untamed, and unknown. That makes them dangerous to big game trackers. Like Reggie White and the Green Bay Packers. Sunday night, the Jaguars stalk the Packers. But first, TNT wraps up the NFL's busiest day 1 hour before the game with Pro Football Tonight. And then, the Packers, the Jaguars, next Sunday at 8 on TNT.
We'll be in Jacksonville next Sunday night. We've still got a full half of football tonight at the MetroDome. Minnesota leads it 10-9. Mike Zimmer, the defensive back coach, talking with Larry Brown and his teammates. Brock Marion on the right side. Well, they have to be satisfied with the opening defensive series of this half. Troy Aikman, 11 of 18 for 108 and a touchdown to Michael Irvin. Irvin's caught 5 for 71. That's Kevin Williams in motion, followed by Dwayne Washington. One hopper. Got some pressure that time and is on the ground. Not injured, just down.
He has had like 3 one-hoppers, and that's because of inside pressure. When you can't step up to deliver the ball, you got that inside push, it's hard to throw the deep out cut. And that's why they come up short a couple times, because some good inside pressure. That time it was Roy Parker.
There's Wade Wilson, who is the backup in Dallas now. And, of course, Wade, the starting quarterback for a number of years here at Minnesota.
I can't believe they're going to make a change unless Aikman is hurt.
Yeah. Emmett Smith got down again. Well, they did it to Barry Sanders last week.
Well, the thing is, you say, hey, if you shut down Emmitt Smith, we can throw the ball. And you're going to watch right here. You're going to watch Jack Del Rio come right through this hole and make a play. As soon as Del Rio sees the guard leave, he didn't overrun it. See, he didn't overrun. He was very patient play there by Jack Del Rio, and a good one.
And the Cowboys still searching for their first third down conversion of the night. They are 0 for 6. They're looking at 3rd and 9. And Jack Del Rio looks at them. 4-man rush, no blitz. Aikman. That will be enough for the first down at the 40-yard line. That's the first conversion of the evening.
Yeah, and only the second catch for Jay Novacek tonight. And he's a guy that, you know, over the course of a game can really hurt you. He's on the right side, the tight end over here. That's Jay Novacek. And again, if you give Troy Aikman some time, Barry Switzer said, if we just protect him, we can eat these guys up. That time it was pretty good protection. They didn't jam Jay Novacek, and when he does that, he runs free and he catches a lot of balls.
1st and 10 from the Cowboy 40-yard line, backs in the eye. Blitz. Aikman pumps once, goes deep. Good coverage downfield, almost picked off. They doubled Michael Irvin, and Dwayne Washington and Charles Mincy were in pretty good position.
Did you see Emmitt Smith, though? I mean, Emmitt Smith made a heck of a block on the blitzing linebacker. I mean, sometimes you worry about running backs protecting your quarterback on a blitz. But Emmitt is a good blocker. He's a tough football player. It's the Barnett, the strong safety. He destroys him. He just blows him up. And that allows Aikman to follow through this time and get the ball downfield. Now, it was an incompletion, but that pass would have even gotten off had it not been for Emmitt Smith's block.
One of those tiny things you sometimes don't notice. Look at the average in the first 2 games. Here's Smith. Mincy. Broderick Thomas. And assorted others.
You're right. They're off, Vern. But to beat the Cowboys, it is a 60-minute ball game. You can't play them for 56 or 58, or you have to play them for 60 minutes. Otherwise, they'll beat you. So as well as it's gone thus far for Minnesota, I mean, it's a one-point game. And then with the weapons that the Cowboys have, if they get in rhythm, they can put up a couple touchdowns quickly.
3rd and 2. Smith, one man to beat. The one man is Corey Fuller, and he tackles Emmitt Smith. But you just knew you couldn't contain him all night long.
Well, he got some good blocks right up the middle by Larry Allen, his right guard, number 73, who dominates Randall that time. Ray Donaldson blows his guy away. Almost fumbled that ball. Almost fumbled it. But you keep feeding him the ball. Picked up an extra 8-10 yards after a very forceful straight arm as well.
45-yard gain for Emmitt Smith. He's got 81 on 11 carries, and just like that. Backs in the eye. Here's Smith again. This time the penetration comes from the defensive line and linebackers. And Smith is caught for a loss back at the 9-yard line. John Randall. We haven't mentioned him a lot tonight.
No. You know, this is what Emmitt Smith has seen a lot of tonight, Vern. A lot of purple jerseys right when he gets the ball. Ed McDaniel, number 58, gets some help from Randall, and Harlan Barnett, the strong safety.
We come to you from the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Vern Lundquist and Pat Hayden. The Cowboys trailing by 1. A missed extra point, the difference. They've got a 2nd and goal. Here's Aikman, quick setup. Luke Johnson, they scored on this last week against Denver. This time he gets it down to the 4-yard line.
Is he alone? I mean, he should have been stopped about 6 yards prior to where he did. We talked about Johnston doing the subtle things to help you win football games. He's the man in motion, number 48. It's a simple little pass. The accurate throw allows him to do something with the ball after the catch. If you force the running back to adjust the ball, you can't do anything. But it was such a perfect throw, he could do something with the ball after the catch.
3rd and goal from the 3.
They were going to try to run that one in.
There's Ed Hockley.
Timeout, Minnesota, before the ball was snapped. That's their first charge team timeout.
Not sure why they did it, but they did it. We'll be back.
We're proud to announce that lease terms on the 1995 Trooper are not only the lowest they've been all year, but at $299 a month and 0 down, they're really something to think about. Like, how do you actually put 0 down? And if you put 0 down, how does anyone know you really put it down? And if you wash your pants with 0 down in the pocket, will you find it later in the dryer? It's a paradox inside of a riddle wrapped in an enigma.
Riders, jeans, and casual clothes. We studied hundreds, thousands of regular folks to learn their shapes and sizes. And then designed jeans that give them a great-looking fit. You'll find it's like we knew your size exactly, somehow. Riders jeans, cut to make real people look real good.
So the Nittany Lions of the Fighting Irish have given us another great college football game. And here are 2 tired generals looking for each other at midfield.
Tough break, Joe. Yeah, I know. The tie's too much. It's nice, but maybe next time something in a crew neck. How'd you think that'd be too casual?
Collect a Burger King Legends of College Football Cup. Free when you upsize your Whopper value meal for just 39 cents.
Look, Joe, it's not the end of the world. Next cup, think pastels.
8:06 to go, 3rd quarter, and the Cowboys facing a 3rd down and 3. They got here on the legs of Emmitt Smith, a 45-yard scamper. Gave them a 1st and goal. They're now looking at 3rd and goal from the 3.
And a week ago against Denver, they ran a little pick play, and Darryl Johnston caught the ball out in the right flat and scored on it.
Aikman drops at the goal line. It's 4th down. Coach Fazio, Minnesota defensive assistant, looks on.
Yeah, pretty good play there by Corey Fuller. Again, Vern, we tested the rookie, and Corey Fuller responded one more time. First, you try to put the pressure on Aikman, but it was very good protection. Throwing darts.
And the reaction on the sideline of the Cowboys. Kendall Watkins, back up tight end. Here's Bunyol. He missed the extra point. Novacek with a hold. Whoa!
It's unbelievable.
Whoa!
Boy. Uh-oh.
My goodness.
That's 2 of them.
He missed an extra point.
Looked like a good snap. It was a good hold. That's on the kicker. That's not the snapper or the holder. That's on the kicker.
It's still 10-9 Vikings.
We're proud to announce that lease terms on the 1995 Trooper are not only the lowest they've been all year, but at $299 a month and 0 down, they're really something to think about. Like, how do you actually put 0 down? And if you put 0 down, how does anyone know you really put it down? And if you wash your pants with 0 down in the pocket, will you find it later in the dryer? It's a paradox inside of a riddle wrapped in an enigma.
This guided missile is brought to you by Ken Norton and his Reebok NFL Pro Line jacket. Will remind you that players are made in the preseason.
How to achieve success.
For me, it's the details. In golf, that means taking it one stroke at a time. And at Jiffy Lube, we do it one car at a time. And we offer the quality of Pennzoil. So even though we've serviced almost 100 million cars, the one that matters most is the one we're working on now.
If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it just isn't Jiffy Lube.
Time now for the Isuzu Play of the Day. It's courtesy James Hasty of the Chiefs. In the Raiders-Chiefs game at Arrowhead, tied at 17 at overtime, Hasty steps in front of a Jeff Hostetler pass, and he is going to go 64 yards down the sideline for the game-winning touchdown. The practically amazing Isuzu Play of the Day.
Well, right here, the practically amazing Dallas Cowboys have self-destructed. We've had 3 or 4 drops, a fumble from Emmitt Smith, and Chris Bunyol with a missed extra point and a missed 20-yard field goal. 10-9 Minnesota. First and 10 Vikings. Warren Moon will hand it off to Robert Smith. He does have that glider style, doesn't he?
And again, because of that and that long stride and the angular body, people just really, I think they're fooled by his speed, and because of that, they don't take the right angle and they miss him. He overruns, or people overrun him or underrun him. Now, what the Vikings desperately need this year is a runner they can depend upon all season. And tonight, or actually this season, Robert Smith has been that guy. And if they can develop him as a threat, this could be a pretty good Viking team.
Smith has 60 yards on 13 carries now, 2nd and 1. He goes right. Clayton Holmes and Dixon Edwards decide to treat him like he's in a rodeo.
You know, it's kind of surprising, speaking of Clayton Holmes, who made that tackle, that the Vikings really haven't tried working on him. He's a replacement for Kevin Smith. Played very well last week against Denver. John Elway did test him 3 times. He responded all 3. But the Vikings have been working on Larry Brown and not Clayton Holmes.
They did get the touchdown off Clayton Holmes. Jake Reed caught it in the first half. 10-9, 6:44 to go, third quarter. Draw play, Smith. Robert Smith, the #1 draft choice 2 years ago in '93, suffered a torn anterior cruciate ligament late in the rookie season, and so was really limited last year in his year of recovery to third down plays. He then had a contract holdout this summer, something new in sports, and something unusual, and came in late, but really has played very well in the first 3 games. Here's Dixon Edwards getting helped off.
Robert Smith is kind of an interesting guy. You know, has a lot of off-the-field interest as well.
There is life outside of football.
Knows the difference between a gerund and a participle.
Good, he can teach me. That pass is good to the 40. Amp Lee, number 32. Robert Jones, the middle linebacker, a part of the tackle.
You don't know
No.
gerunds and participles?
I was absent that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
You weren't paying attention. And Amp Lee is the kind of the receiver out of the backfield. He has to fight through his own guys and then find the window to the quarterback. I mean, that's a small little gain, but Amp Lee had to do quite a bit to gain those few yards.
Dangling participle was a Simon Garfunkel tune.
Yes, yeah. Oh, man. You're dating yourself now, pal.
Should be enough for a first and 10 Minnesota at their own 45. Darren Woodson made the tackle. Hey, we've got 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And if you just tuned in, Minnesota leads this thing by 1.
Yeah, and they deserve to lead this thing by 1 because they have played very well. Their defense has played well, and when they've had to have these tough little inside runs, they've either gotten them from Robert Smith or this time Amp Lee breaks an arm tackle, and they convert on another first down, or they get another first down. And the time of possession becomes more and more of a factor for the Vikings.
David Palmer's in the lineup, number 22. They fake the reverse to him. Warren Moon flips it out to Robert Smith, and it's incomplete. Now let's take a look at the Coors Light scoreboard. 49ers roll in the second half. Denver, Rod Smith with a great catch off an Elway pass. San Diego comes back and defeats Philadelphia. Green Bay wins in a tussle with the Giants. Arizona came from behind to win.
Big day by Harrison Hurst. 22 yards. Biggest day as a pro.
Emmett Smith resting for the moment. Second down and 10, 10-9. Minnesota leads. Andrew Jordan, number 89, and that'll bring up another third down. The Vikings are 6 of 11 on third down conversions tonight.
Well, and part of that is because of what they've done on first and second down, Vern. They're not getting themselves in a lot of third and longs. I mean, they're dinking the ball here, running the ball there, and they find themselves a lot, I think, in 3rd and 4 or less. Now, here's a 3rd and probably about 5 or 6. But they've won the first and second downs, and that's the big reason.
3rd and 5, 10-9. Minnesota. Straight 4-man front. Moon back across the middle. Hit. Robert Jones, number 55, the middle linebacker, got a hand up.
And that's a good play, because I think Warren Moon had something going down the middle. That ball was thrown with some velocity. It was thrown with some direction. And Robert Jones, who's 6'2", gets a hand on it. Yeah, well, that could have been a touch. That could have been a touch to Amp Lee. Big play by Robert Jones.
That brings on Mike Saxon. Kevin Williams waits for the return at the 10-yard line. They come. Mike Saxon leads the league and punts down inside the 20. It was Brock Marion who almost got there and who is stretched out in an injured position at the 40-yard line. Here's how close Marion came. Time has been called. We'll be right back.
Look at him. That's my generation. They call us baby boomers. We lead every generation in American history in such things as power and money and position. We also lead every generation in American history in such things as divorce and suicide, drug abuse and loneliness. Many are finding that the something they've looked for within to fill the void of life is really someone. It's never too late for a new beginning.
It's not so much the heat. It's the humidity. Get wet and cool down this summer at J. Pepe's Tex-Mex with happy hour daily from 11 to 7 and $5.99 pitchers of margaritas every Monday. And if you're too hot to sleep, we're open late every night with food till midnight and drinks till 2. J. Pepe's hot Tex-Mex in a very cool environment.
She's got me going sideways, upside down, in and out.
I don't want to hear any details.
Oh, come on, Chief. We're going to tell you what's going on. Love is crazy.
And TNT turns up the Southern charm with 2 episodes of Bubba every night this week, Monday through Friday.
He's quite a hunk.
Get a hunk of Burnin' Bubba Bubba, beginning tomorrow at 6 on TNT.
I must admit there are times... 10-9, Minnesota, 3:25 to go third quarter. Sometimes I talk when I shouldn't, and sometimes I don't talk when I should. I'm going to learn. But there's Johnny Lever. I've known John as an assistant coach for 4 different teams in 15 years. He says the Cowboy offensive line is the best offensive line he's ever seen in the NFL. Pretty good testimony. That catch is made at the 24-yard line. John was a coach at New Orleans, the Chicago Bears, most recently with the Denver Broncos. He just came over as the new line coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and before the game, he said this offensive line is out.
I think one of them's injured.
Whoops. Calf muscle.
Yeah,
that's Big Eric Williams.
And Big is right. All 322 pounds of him.
And that is a concern, Barry Switzer. Things thus far have not gone the way he'd like. We'll be right back.
We're out of here. No, please keep your hands in the cart. We'll come back for that later. That one needs batteries. You're going to get Daddy in trouble. Excuse me? No, that one definitely has too many parts. We got to go.
Right now, we're offering some of the best prices of the year on our 1995 rodeos.
I got it!
Coors Light, the silver bullet. It's shipped cold to tap the clean taste of the Rockies.
Wow, how'd they do that?
Pennzoil introduces Performax 100. 100% synthetic at a breakthrough price.
100% synthetic at a price this low? How'd they do that?
Leave it to Pennzoil to make synthetic affordable.
How'd they do that?
Hey, there's more. An extra $6 rebate on a case. Or $6 off on an oil change by the pros.
How'd they do that?
Engine problems? Before you try a tune-up, try gum out first. The solution could be less than $5.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Minnesota Vikings and the National Football League is prohibited.
I'll bet they know the difference in a gerund and a participle.
That's right.
That's probably what they're talking about. Eric Williams on the sidelines. Ron Stone has taken his spot to the 65. There's Emmett Smith to the 25, maybe the 26. It'll be third down, 2:40 to go. Third quarter. Ed McDaniel, number 58.
So the Cowboys, as this third quarter winds down, have always been a very good fourth quarter team. And a lot of that is because they've had great depth, and they're fresh in the fourth quarter. Some of that depth is gone, and it remains to be seen if they're going to be as good a fourth quarter team this year.
Ron Stone is one of those backups. Corey Fleming is in on 3rd down and 2. 4-man Viking rush. Pass is caught by Novacek to the 35. That's another first down.
Well, Ron Stone did his job on Roy Barker that time. I mean, if you don't have, 15 guys on offense that can come in and fill in at spots. At tight ends, that's number 65 is Stone. Again, granted, he's just going to push Roy Barker right past the quarterback, but that's all he has to do. Barker's momentum really took him out of the play.
Ron Stone, a third-year man from Boston College, a 4th-round draft choice in '93. 1st and 10 Dallas after the 9-yard gain. 10-9 Minnesota. Johnson, a rare moose call. And Nate Newton helps lead the way. Newton, who told us yesterday that he is the sexiest, prettiest 320-pounder in the league.
Well, I wasn't going to argue with him.
No, nor agree with him.
But you know what? Everybody makes fun of his size. He's a very quotable, likable guy, but he's a pretty good football player, too.
Yes, he is.
He really is. He's part of that offensive line that's been playing together for a long time. Part of this unit that's played together for a long time.
2nd down. 2nd and 6. Aikman across the middle deep. Oh, what a sandwich.
Man.
They popped Novacek pretty good. Harlan Barnett, who played last year in New England, and Charles Mincy, who played last year at Kansas City.
Well, Vern, this is only the 3rd game we've done this year, but this is the best defensive effort I have seen this year, and that's by the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they're shutting down some pretty good weapons of the Cowboys. And Emmitt Smith had one big run, but other than that, they've done a pretty good job on Emmitt. They've taken away Novacek. Michael Irvin did catch the touchdown, but he only has 6 catches.
And it's 3rd and 6 now. Final minute, 3rd quarter. Aikman, right side for Kevin Williams, incomplete. Corey Fuller, who's done a dandy job at left corner tonight. How about the rookie?
He has played great. Never intimidated. Bottom of the screen, number 27. They're going right after him, and they want it all on this play. Stumbles a little bit early in the play. They didn't call that pass interference because they felt it was not catchable. And Kevin Williams has not caught a ball tonight. I think this team right now misses the big plays of Alvin Hartman.
John Jett is on the punt. David Palmer waits for it. That one sails. Palmer with a fair catch. Huge punt by John Jett. And the Vikings take over following the Palmer fair catch at their own 10-yard line. Coming up after the game, TNT presents a tribute to a quarterback who led the 49ers to 4 Super Bowl victories. Watch a special encore presentation of Joe Montana, The Fire Inside, tonight on TNT.
It's the best I ever saw, Joe Montana. I mean, this guy was so good in big games. And I think you measure quarterbacks by the number of championships they win and how many times they bring their team from behind, and he did as well as anybody.
1st and 10, Minnesota.
And between us, we've won 4 Super Bowls.
And 1 road to scholarship. Reed. Wow, somebody got a hand up, and Larry Brown makes the tackle. I thought it was going to be blocked. Jake Reed.
That is a first down, Jake. And that's a big play. And everybody's so concerned about Chris Carter, you forget that they have another big play receiver on the other side. Hands up was Charles Haley, gets his hands up, but he had Larry Brown beaten early in that route. And he uses his, you have to use your size and position as well, and he did. That's a big play by Jake Reed. They needed him tonight, and he has been there tonight.
Reed has caught 5. The Vikings lead with a quarter to play. We'll be back in the Metrodome after this. Good news for the Chris Hinton family. The injury, the x-rays rather, were negative. He went to the bench from the locker room in the first half with a knee injury, but looks like he's going to be okay. Chris Hinton, the right guard of the Vikings. His team leads it 10-9 as we start the final quarter. Here's Robert Smith. There's a tough run of 5 yards. Harry Derek Williams strained left calf. He will not return for the remainder of the night.
You mentioned Chris Hinton being out. His replacement's Everett Lindsay, and he's playing over Russell Maryland. Now, Dave Campbell, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, was saying to us this week that Russell Maryland is his best fourth quarter player.
David Dixon is now in, number 71, at right guard. He's an interesting story. Flags are down. Robert Smith up to the 46.
Got the better of Russell Maryland there.
There's David Dixon, number 71, Pat, from New Zealand. Came to the States. He was a rugby player. He played at a Mormon school, Ricks College in Idaho, and then transferred down to Arizona State. Hasn't played football all that much. He was on the practice squad of the Cowboys in 1993.
As a defensive player.
Right.
Yeah.
David Dixon. Now, he is, as they say, or we are saying more often, yes. He is a gerund and a participle together.
Right tackle jumping the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty results in a first
like
down.
That, don't you? Yeah.
I think I'm
Look
gonna
that
let
up next week. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
A gerund is a verb that acts like a noun and ends in ing. A participle is a verb that acts like an adjective and ends in several suffixes.
You are welcome to the continuing education.
I just thought you'd be interested. You know. Now you know.
First, I do. I hope I don't forget, because I'll hear about it again. First and 10. Moon Clutch goes deep for Reed. Overthrows him. Clayton Holmes covering. Jake Reed.
There it is.
Which is boil, boil, double trouble.
Yeah.
All right. See, you wanted to know how you make lutefisk.
This is it, huh?
Well, it's codfish soaked in lye for a long, long time. Then you boil, you put it in ice, you bring it indoors.
And what do you do with it?
You put a newt's eye in there.
Then what do you do with it?
If you're stupid, you drink it. If you're stupid, you eat it.
No thanks.
Second and 10. Oh, boy, it'll be 3rd and 10 at the 50. Jake Reed's made a lot of big plays tonight, but he probably should have had that one.
And one of the few times that the Vikings find themselves in a 3rd and long, a 3rd and 10. And this is where Charles Haley and Tony Tolbert on the outside can really put some heat on the quarterback. So on 3rd and 10, you better make sure you get Haley blocked. And even it means keeping a back end to chip him.
Todd Stussy goes against Haley. Corey Stringer against Tony Tolbert. 3rd and 10. Shotgun. They stunt. 4-man rush. Moon goes deep left for Carter. Overthrows him into the Cowboy bench area.
Okay, the key thing here, Noah, for Mike Saxon, the punter of the Vikings, do not punt this ball in the end zone. You know, you can pin them back there inside the 20 and give your defense good field position, but do not give them a freebie to the 20-yard line.
Mike Saxon was a Cowboy punter for a long time when he came to the club from San Diego State in '85. He still lives in the Dallas area. Has some golfing buddies up here, as a matter of fact, watching the game. 10-man front. The Cowboys are coming. Saxon.
Oh, they got him.
They got him. That's going to be roughing the kicker. It goes in the end zone, but it doesn't matter.
The Cowboys have blocked 13 punts and kicks over the last 5 years. They did not take a good angle on that one. If you come up the middle, you got to make sure you're going to block it, Vern, because if you don't, you're going to run into the punter.
Joe Avezzano, the special teams coach, said to us last night, we are a special teams unit in a state of transition.
Number 87,
Billy Davis. And number 42, Charlie Williams. That's only the 5-yard variety. It's an adolescent penalty and not the adult version, so it will not be a first down. Wow.
My.
There's Billy Davis.
I thought it was kind of the adult version myself.
I did too.
And one guy goes low, another guy comes high. I mean, he could have really hurt his left leg there, actually, but they're going to punt it again. Again, you can't punt the ball in the end zone. And I don't think they'll come after him this time. just gave the Cowboys 20 yards.
Well, if you're a lip reader, you know how Mike Saxon feels about it. If you're not a lip reader, you probably know as well. Tain't good news.
Lower your right foot and repeat after me. I promise to be free. I promise to be different. I promise to take the other path. I promise to be unique. I promise to drive an Eldorado with a 300 horsepower North Star V8, a suspension that reads faster than Evelyn would, and a body that parts traffic. Eldorado with the North Star system by Cadillac.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. This is dull. Doesn't have to be.
And now the starting lineup. That groom from Texas, Billy Clyde Humphrey. And at Bride, a 5'6" debutante from Alabama, Nell Peterson. The Humphrey wedding brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice cold Miller Lite, life is good. The vows are up.
I do.
And they're good. Whoa, Nelly!
That was beautiful, man.
13:32 remaining in this one. Dallas and Minnesota week 3, and the Cowboys up 10-9. Missed field goal, missed extra point for Dallas. 20-yard field goal, fumble. They've really sputtered offensively, and yet they're only down 1.
Yeah, and the Cowboys are one of those fourth quarter teams. You know, you let them hang around for long enough, and they've got enough weapons they can knock you out. So, you know, you still, even though Evan Smith is struggled, I wouldn't be surprised to give him the ball a bunch of times this fourth quarter and let something good happen. I mean, he's that kind of player. You want to give a guy like that the ball now.
Cowboys take over following the Saxon punt at their own 20-yard line. Troy Aikman for the night, 15 of 27 for 139 yards. 1 touchdown. He's been sacked only once. Total yardage now 219 for the Cowboys, 210 for Minnesota. And 2 big plays, one for either team. A 44-yard run for Robert Smith of the Vikings, a 45-yard run. Emmitt Smith of the Cowboys. Came on the safety blitz.
This is a really good defensive game plan that Tony Dungy has put together, Vern. I mean, they did it last week against one player, Barry Sanders. This week, they've done it against a whole bunch of great players. Aikman, Smith, Johnson, Irvin, Jay Novacek. I mean, this is as good a defensive game plan as you're going to see, and as well executed defensive game plan as you're going to see.
2nd and 10. Blitz is threatened. Aikman back, left side, caught by Moose Johnson. He's got Donaldson in front, and Johnson all the way out to the 45-yard line.
And they changed the pace. The Cowboys, for the first time tonight, run a finesse play. I mean, they've been a power team most of this evening. They changed the pace. Ernie Zampese calls a little screen pass to the left, perfectly timed. And Daryl Johnston, watch the thing how he makes the last defender miss, too, Vern. He picks up an extra 8 yards, but he kind of jumps over the last defender and picks up an extra 8 yards. There, puts his hand down, and that's a nice play. Very good play.
24-yard gain, 1st and 10. Novacek in motion. Here's Emmitt Smith. What does he do but break a tackle, breaks another, and scoots through for a gain of 14 yards. Dwayne Washington makes the tackle.
Yeah, they're going to take care of the nose tackle, number 98, Ezra Tuaolo. They just double him, destroy the nose tackle, and that allows Emmitt to jump through. Now, Smith combines power and grace, but it's always the power that comes first.
Emmitt Smith is now 4 yards away from his 37th 100-yard gain. Flags are down.
I tell you, though, it has been a tough 96 yards thus far. I mean, he's had 2 big runs, and he's been kind of stuffed 12 other times.
Before the ball was snapped, false start by the offense, number 65. The 5-yard penalty remains first down.
But that's okay. I mean, I think when you talk about Emmitt Smith, great quarterbacks bring their teams from behind, and great running backs exert themselves in the fourth quarter. Emmitt Smith has been a great fourth quarter running back in his career.
Chatting with him last night, he's such a fun man to talk to about his art or his craft. And he said he looks at his effort as a painting. Here's the pass to Johnson, and they get it down inside the 45 to the 43. Just to wrap it up about Emmitt, and we'll be talking about him for the rest of the night. But he said he sees his runs as a series of brush strokes. And then at the end of the night, he gets great pleasure when it's gone well to look back at the whole and realize that it is a thing of beauty. A rather eloquent way of talking about what he does for a living.
Well, he's probably hung very nice pictures in his den because he's had a bunch of beautiful artwork in his 6-year career, and this has been a tough one, but one you can appreciate too.
Aikman back, play action, blitz coming. They go across the middle. There's Novacek, first down at the 28. They are an outstanding fourth quarter team. And this drive began at the 20 following the Saxon punt.
Well, Jay Novacek, number 84, no jam, gets off cleanly. If you're going to slow Jay Novacek down, you've got to jam him at the line of scrimmage. Nobody does. It's he against McDaniel. It's an athletic catch of a well-thrown ball by Aikman, and the Cowboys are on the move.
Novacek, 4 catches, 42 yards. First and 10 at the 28. They fake the toss, and Aikman wants a screen pass left. A flag is down here for Novacek. He's got blockers in front and weaves his way inside the 10 to the 5, down at the 1-yard line.
Oh, boy, that was a nice play. Second screen. There are 2 flags down. The second screen they've run to their left on this drive, and both of them have worked magnificently. There'll be a penalty against the Vikings, so they'll have a first down inside the 5.
Offside by the defense, number 93. The penalty is declined. First down.
Give the Cowboys some credit for adjusting. The fake to the pitch to Emmitt, he attracts a crowd. They threw the earlier screen to Johnson, this time to Novacek. You get Michael Irvin screening his guy off, Ray Donaldson powering his guy, and the Cowboys have first and goal.
Emmitt Smith has rushed for a touchdown in 9 consecutive games. That is a Cowboy club record. The Cowboys have a first and goal at the 2 with Emmitt Smith the deep back. Smith. Touchdown, Dallas. Make it 10 games in a row.
They're going to go for 2. I think they should go for 2 here. Yeah. You know, he was upset ever since he fumbled the ball in this football game. I'm talking about Emmitt Smith. But he atoned for it here in the fourth quarter, where he's been a dominant player during his career. That offensive line, this is where you need guys to stay low, just give you a little crease. The good lead block by Johnston. And even though he gets hit, he didn't take the clean shot, spin in midair, and gets the ball in the end zone. And now they go for 2.
Cowboys have never converted a 2-point play. Smith in motion. Now they have.
Boy, is that a good throw. And a good catch. This guy was covered. Novacek was covered. And it starts with a touchdown. They gave him the chance, the 2-point play. A great fourth quarter drive where the Cowboys have always been tough. And the Cowboys have a 17-10 lead.
He was cool and uncanny, but with 1 tick left on the clock, Joe Montana was the comeback kid.
I started young, hating to lose.
Joe Montana, the fire inside. Tonight, after the NFL on TNT.
Big Billy Barrett sends in the savings. Program powerhouse savings on hundreds of pre-owned program cars. You could score a $5,000 difference. So, why pay the new car price? Big Billy Barrett's Program Car Supercenter sells you 95 Mirages as low as $99.88, 95 Gallants, $11,988 with full factory warranties. Get program powerhouse savings at Big Billy Barrett Mitsubishi, LBJ between Oates and Galloway.
The Rolex 24 at Daytona, America's toughest sports car race. At the Daytona International Speedway, drivers like five-time champion Hurley Haywood race 24 hours through the heat of day and dark of night. Hurley and his Rolex are up to the rugged demands of this legendary race. Rolex, the choice of champions.
Backendorf's, your official Rolex jeweler, serving you at these locations.
Standards for movies you see now. See them because they're the movies that everyone steals from. See them because they're the movies that made guys like Tarantino, Coppola, and Spielberg say,
Hey, I want to make movies you gotta see.
When it comes to movies you gotta see, it doesn't get any better than this. And you can only see them on TNT, starting Tuesday night at 8.
Cowboys go 80 yards in 7 plays. It took only 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Emmett Smith gets the touchdown, and he has now scored 77 rushing touchdowns in 80 games. Take a look at the rushing ratio. Jim Brown had 106 and 118, and Emmett's in that category. Walter Payton, of course, the leader with 110 in 190 games. Here's the kick by John Baker. Cowboys up by 7. David Palmer at the 5. Watch out! Watch out!
No, he is kind of fun to watch, isn't he? Let's go back to the two-point play because I think this is a remarkable throw and a great catch by Jay Novacek. Now, he is covered. Right there, he's going to be in the middle of your screen right now. He's covered by Broderick Thomas, and the ball was thrown away from the defender. He caught it all hands. That is pretty good. That's throwing darts, and that's catching a pass when you're well covered. And that's 2 points for the Cowboys.
Warren Moon back as a signal caller. And here's Charles Simmons out of the backfield with the catch at the 41. That's a 2-yard pickup. And the defensive job done by Robert Jones.
I think this is an important part of the game for the Vikings. I mean, everybody knows how good the Cowboys are, but the Vikings are in that mass of teams, the NFC. They're trying to prove themselves, and be able to come back against the Cowboys right now, I think would give them a big lift for the rest of the season and be a real, could be one of those turning points for them.
Second and 8, 9:13 to go. Hang on, just behind him, in front of Clayton Holmes. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
And twice now in this 4th quarter, Vern, they've gotten themselves in 3rd and long. First 3 quarters, they weren't in 3rd and long, but twice this time they have.
In this half, only 25 yards on the ground for the Vikings, only 45 yards passing the ball. They led 10-9 at the half. Total of 82 yards now. That's current. And you see Dallas is going up to 175 yards in this half. 3rd and 8. 4-man rush. Boone, right side for Reed. And again, pretty good coverage by Clayton Holmes. His coaching staff says Clayton Holmes is the best athlete on the ball club.
Boy, did Tony Tolbert get a hold of Warren Moon. I mean, one of the reasons Clayton Holmes was able to cover Jake Reed that time and do it pretty well is because of the rush of Tony Tolbert. But, you know, Elway tested Holmes 3 times deep last week. Didn't really convert. They test him here. That's pretty good coverage, again, by Clayton.
Mike Saxon on to punt. The return is on all the way. Saxon, Kevin Williams at the 22. Nice return.
Maybe he should have punted in the end zone.
8:45 remaining in this one. And the Cowboys have assumed command. They are up by 7.
Only one has the moves of Barry Sanders. Only one has his acceleration.
Only one has his control. Only one has such breathtakingly perfect balance. Seville STS with the North Star system. A great performer creates a higher standard. Over 25 years ago, Honda built the first ATV. Now we've built our most powerful, the Foreman 400. Where do we go from here? Just about anywhere we want.
At Riders Jeans and Casual Clothes, we studied hundreds, thousands of regular folks to learn their shapes and sizes. And then designed jeans that give them a great-looking fit. You'll find it's like we knew your size exactly, somehow. Riders Jeans, cut to make real people look real good.
8:45 remaining in regulation play. You see one of the number of NFL Films photographers documenting what's going on in this game. They began their efforts in both Dallas and Minneapolis earlier this week for a special 90-minute show that'll be called 6 Days to Sunday. It'll air on TNT on November 8th. They've had complete access to both ball clubs, and I think Denny Green is mic'd during the game. I'm not sure if Barry Switzer is. That'll air November 8th, 1st and 10, Dallas, Aikman, quick setup. Michael Irvin.
And here's where the Cowboy offensive line, I think, can make the difference in the ballgame. Both in the pass protection, as they did there for Aikman, and in running the ball for Emmitt Smith. This is the time when this offensive line can wear you down. Good cut block there by Ron Stone. Allowed the ball to get unimpeded to Michael Irvin.
Michael with 7 catches for 84 yards now, closing in on a 100-yard day. Backs in the eye. Emmitt Smith. He's gone over 100 again. Ed McDaniel with a tackle.
Boy, good trap block there. Real good trap block by Larry Allen, the right guard. What he doesn't see, he feels. He just has a great sense of where people are, where his guys are, where the enemy is, and that's what makes him a one sensational back, the best running back in football today.
Third straight, 100-plus game. He's got 109. Aikman chased. John Randall. They get a big play on defense. They need a turnover.
Number 93 beats Nate Newton quickly with a speed rush. And once he gets the speed rush going, look out. I mean, Nate Newton had a pretty good day so far against John Randall, but that time John Randall just blew right by him.
That's a loss of 8. It's 2nd down and 18. It's the 2nd sack of the season for Troy Aikman. 2nd tonight. Irvin and Fleming are in. On 2nd and 18. Viking football.
We said at the very beginning of this show, the Vikings needed 2 or 3 defensive turnovers to win it. Tony Dungy teams create turnovers. Now, that ball was just a mishandled snap, but nonetheless, the Vikings come up with their 2nd turnover again. I don't think Aikman never touched that ball. It went right through his hands. Ray Donaldson hiked it right through Troy Aikman's hands. See that? Never hit him. That was a strange snap. Very strange. And Del Rio comes up with it.
That's the 2nd turnover for the Minnesota Viking defense. They trail by 7. They have the ball at the Cowboy 48. Robert Smith starts right, comes back inside, and runs into Tony Talbert, number 92.
Boy, has he been good as a coordinator here. Look what's happened since 1992 when Tony came here. 17 defensive touchdowns over the past 3 seasons. Interceptions, sacks, takeaways. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Someday there will be a head coaching job.
Yeah, open for him. And it's no accident. That's good coaching and good plan.
James Harris, 99, gets credit for the fumble recovery at 2nd down and 9. 6:25 to go. Warren Moon comes right. Caught and dropped. Charles Haley.
Tough time to take a sack.
Second sack tonight for Haley.
Yeah, down by 7 points, and you go from 2nd and 10. If you throw your ball away to 3rd and forever, and you have to account for him. You have to know where he is, and you have to double team him. That was a single block, it looked like, on Charles Haley. And he is a sack waiting to happen. It's Stussy. Gets the single on him. And that's not good. Like a good running back, Charles Haley. Just kind of gave him a hip, took it away, makes a sack.
3rd and 19. 5:55 to go. That was just furious pressure from Leon Lett and friends.
You're right, and it was friends. First, you take care of Charles Haley. This time they double team him with Stussy in the back. Tony Tolbert is going to raise some havoc first, and then he gets some help from Leon Lett. There's Tolbert. Lett finishes him off. But it started because of the concern with Haley, one-on-one on Tolbert, one-on-one on Lett. The result, a sack.
And nothing out of the turnover created on the missed snap. Here's Saxon. That's another returnable punt. Kevin Williams at the 21. He's knocked out of bounds at the 25-yard line by Robert Griffith, number 24.
They were looking for a block on the back. I thought it was maybe Anthony Fieldings, number 54 for Dallas. Right there. Yeah, that is a block on the back. It should have been a penalty against Fieldings.
Time has been called.
What you see here is a busy business traveler getting a new telephone. That's because he's staying at Courtyard by Marriott, where when you apply for a new AT&T True Choice calling card, you'll be sent an AT&T Design Line phone. So when you stay at Courtyard, you'll not only leave refreshed for the next business day, you'll have a handy new device for making future reservations, too. For details or reservations, call Courtyard at 800-321-2211.
When I got rid of my gray hair, I wanted a natural look, so I didn't take any chances. I used the sure thing for a natural look called Just for Men.
Apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, rinse. It's specially timed to blend away gray, bring back your natural look, and condition hair.
It's a sure thing.
Just for Men, the sure thing for a natural look. And now try Just for Men Color Gel for the hard-to-color hair of mustaches and beards. Brush in, rinse out. Just 5 minutes.
Got a car, but need an engine? Then come to Pep Boys, where you'll find a huge selection of over 1,200 quality engines for your car or light truck for as low as $699.99. Import or domestic, all have a 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. And you can charge it with your Pep Boys credit card and pay as little as $35 a month. So come to Pep Boys and drive away happy.
5:35 remaining in regulation play. The Minnesota Vikings and Warren Moon find themselves trailing by a touch, and they've not had much offensive success last 7 times they've had the ball.
A lot of Mike Saxon, a lot of punts.
And a missed Quadra Faye's field goal that ended his streak of 31 in a row. Here's Emmitt Smith. Moves it out from the 25-yard line to the 28-yard line. That's his 17th carry. The rushing leader. He was talking with us yesterday. We had an engaging conversation with Emmitt because we laid down ground rules. No Deion Sanders, no discussion of the hamstring, and no mention of November 12th when they play the 49ers.
Exactly
he said,
right.
Folks, I got an hour.
He's coming. He is coming.
2nd down and 6. 5 minutes to go. Smith
you know you're a good football team when you can run the ball when the defense expects it. And the Cowboys have been able to do that. They won 2 of their games last year in the fourth quarter. We talked about them being a good fourth quarter team and the best fourth quarter runners right there. Actually, they won 3 in the fourth quarter last year.
What's Ernie doing?
There's some concern there.
He's nervous. I think that may be a cigarette. Do I know Zambezi?
Oh, you know smokers.
I used to be one. 3rd and 4. That was an extra long.
Oh, that might be a free one.
Now it's a stub.
Yeah, they're going to get Larry Allen, I think.
False start prior to the snap by the offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty, it remains 3rd down.
Yeah, you're going to see, what happens, you want to point first in this thing. When this happens, you got to start point first. Barker got the first point in, and the hangdog look there of Larry Allen. When you got that hangdog look, you know you're guilty, you know?
Larry Allen from Sonoma State developed the hangdog look out there. 3rd and 9. 4:10 to go in regulation. Into the flat for Emmitt Smith. To Wayne Washington. It'll be 4th down. The Vikings will get it back.
Well, we're going to have a pretty good finish to this thing. Again, a good pass rush, good coverage because it was 3rd and long, and it forced Aikman. They forced Aikman to dump the ball off to Emmitt Smith. And that's as good as Emmett is, that's what you want to have happen on 3rd and very long, a pass in the flat.
David Palmer back to return the John Jett punt. 3.5 and the clock running. 17-10.
They're going to get good field position.
They sure should. Dale Hillestray snaps it back. Nice and high. Fair catch called by Palmer. Grabs it at the 44-yard line. So the Minnesota Vikings have 3 minutes and 14 seconds left, and they find themselves 56 yards away from tying this one up or going in front.
Well, we called it a measuring stick game for the Vikings, and you have an experienced quarterback in Warren Moon who's done this before, and if you don't think Warren Moon is a good player, look at the collapse of the Oilers last year after he left. I mean, it kind of proves how long he carried that team. But right now, 2nd year with a new team, 3:14 left. You've got to get the ball in the end zone. You've got to stick it in the end zone.
46.
From the 44, 1st and 10. Amp Lee is in the backfield. He is the pass receiving specialist. Bull rush from Colbert. Moon heaves it out. Oh, boy. Brock Marion battling Jake Reed and knocked it away.
And they had 3 guys on Charles Haley that time, including Chris Carter. I mean, they had Stussy, they had Carter Watch, and then they had a tight end. And he still gets through them. I mean, that is one determined pass rush.
And Tony Tolbert was also in the vicinity.
Yeah.
Number 92, 2nd down and 10. Tony Tolbert.
Well, they read that one early. You hear the defensive guys calling draw, draw, draw?
Russell Maryland.
Yeah, the 4th quarter player, Russell Maryland.
Coming up next, the Steel postgame report. We'll have scores and highlights from all the 3rd week action around the National Football League. Vince Cellini and Mark May have the stories covered, and Ernie Johnson is with us. He'll have tonight's stars from Minneapolis.
And with 2:40 remaining in the ball game, I think the Vikings have to think about, hey, they have 2 downs to pick up this 10 yards. We don't necessarily need to get it all right here.
Four-man rush. Moon. Reed. Almost broke it open. 1st down at the 34.
Boy, has he had a good game. His 6th catch of the afternoon or evening for Reed. 87 yards. He's caught a touchdown, and that was a perfect read and throw by Moon. It's R-E-A-D, not R-E-E-D.
I caught you.
Yeah. That's good offense.
O-F-F-E-N-S-E. Time has been called. T-I-M-E.
Rarely does someone go where no one has gone before. Rarely does someone accomplish what has never been accomplished before. Rarely does an automotive system achieve a combination of advantages never achieved before. But when it does, the world tries to follow. The North Star system by Cadillac, creating a higher standard.
A bowling ball, a pineapple, a birthday cake, a Nokia cellular phone. One of these objects would make it easier for me to juggle my schedule.
He's a juggler. You're not. Pick up a Nokia cellular phone to help you juggle your schedule. Nokia, largest European cellular phone manufacturer, now in America.
No matter where I park, it draws a crowd. It's a 55! It's a 55! 55. 55. This is one of the last real classics of our time. What do you think of the bumper, huh? Everything's original. And I take care of it myself right down to the oil and the Purolator filter. Pure oil now! It's a 55! So when someone asks me how I've kept up the engine, I just show them the Purolator. Purolator! I don't think you'd all fit. Legends live. 55! Purolator, Purolator.
2 minutes remaining in this one. Warren Moon and the Vikings have a first down and 10 at the 34 of Dallas. They used a timeout earlier, so they have 2 remaining. The Cowboys back home against Arizona next week. The Vikings' tough road continues. They go on to Pittsburgh. They're hoping to go in with a victory, and they need a touchdown. Now the guy's looking for himself on television, and he doesn't realize he's already been on. David Palmer is in at wide receiver, wide to the right side. This is Chris Carter in motion. Again, a 4-man rush. They go to the left side. They catch Larry Brown.
It's interference.
No flags?
No.
Wow. Whoa.
Unless Larry Brown had his head turned, it looked like interference, but he has his head turned, and he called incidental contact. Watch Larry Brown. This was a good matchup. Sent a guy in motion. That's not. That's good defense.
Yeah, sure is. Jake Reed had a little claw action there.
Yeah, he got his head turned. Yeah, right there. There's the claw. Pulling the Drew Pearson on him, wasn't he? They're paying him back after 20 years.
It's Nate Wright and Drew Pearson. 1975. Bring on the leisure suits. I noticed. 2nd and 10. Left side. Caught at the 33. It'll be 3rd down. Dixon Edwards with the tackle.
Okay, again, Vern, in that 3rd down situation where, you know, you'd like to get the first down, but you don't have to. You don't have to. 3rd about 6. But after, if and when they get an next first down, I think they want to take a couple of shots at the end zone because it gets very, very difficult to score on the Cowboys inside the 25.
86 seconds to go. 3rd and 6.
Dandy, beautiful, whatever you want to call it. That was absolutely spectacular. Clutch play. Battling the Cowboys. Knowing that Haley's coming in on you. You know Haley's going to get single blocked. And he finds the big old 6'3" Jake Reed. A perfectly thrown ball in between 2 defenders working on Larry Brown as they have this second half.
Clock still running. 40 seconds to go. First and goal from the 10. Oh, how about that? Now will they use a timeout? Yes.
Yep. Well, I don't like to see that play. You know, I just don't think they're going to run it in from there, Vern. And now they have 3 downs left. I would have much rather seen them use a timeout then early before that play and then take 4 throws in the end zone if necessary. Because their key players are Jake Reed and Chris Carter. It's not that run from that far out.
Yeah, they tried a little deception with the draw play on 1st and 10. Brian Billick Chris Carter.
See, Carter just said to Billick, I can run a fade. The fade route is when you get bump and run and just kind of run by him, you throw the jump ball.
Chris Carter's made a living running the fade route.
He has.
He's about as good at that, or was and has been, as anybody in the league.
Well, you know, he's one of those great loose ball receivers. You know, you throw it up, and he's going to have a pretty good chance of going up and getting it. Now, the Cowboys know that, too. I mean, the Cowboys and Dave Campbell, the defensive coordinator, if you're Dave Campbell, you're going to take Chris Carter away. But you know what? Again, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, the first guy you're looking at is Chris Carter. Force someone else to beat you, although Jake Reed has done it good in the second half.
Reed's fine. Watch for Carter in the fade. He's on the right side. There's the fade. There's Chris Carter. Touchdown! Oh, man!
Well, he came to the sideline, and we saw him say to Brian Billick, I can run a fade. And that was the little fade adjustment. They got the bump and run, the good throw. They gave him the chance. You give great players a chance at big moments, and oftentimes they come through. And Chris Carter's been doing that virtually his entire career. On Clayton Holmes, you see the bump and run? So he fakes the fade, and then he kind of works his way outside. And that's a great catch, and a clutch catch. And they'll go for one in the tie.
Mike Morris is the center. Mike Saxon is the holder. Fawad Reveiz will try and tie it up.
Wow, that was one clutch drive.
Great pass, Moon to Reed. Terrific pass, Moon to Carter. Saxon to hold. Mike Morris snaps it. This is for the tie. We're notched at 17.
There were 2 overtime games today in the NFL. New Orleans, and Atlanta, and the Raiders, and the Chiefs. And here's the pass. You're right, this was a real good throw. The one to Jake Reed was even better than the play earlier. But that's a heck of a catch.
That's not a bad catch at all.
Not bad coverage, but sometimes you're just gonna get beaten. And Warren Moon threw it away from the defender, and Chris Carter made an adjustment while the ball was in the air. That's fun to watch. That is fun to watch. He's kind of a low-key guy, isn't he?
Cut from the Philadelphia Eagles, where he played for Buddy Ryan. He told us again yesterday that Buddy Ryan did him a favor. He bears him no ill will. He said he grew up a lot after he was released. He had no place to go. He signed in Minnesota, thought it was going to go well here. They told him it was going to go well. First thing they did is put him behind Anthony Carter. And he was told at one time by a coaching staff that is no longer here, as long as Hassan Jones and Anthony Carter were here, he would not be a starter. Now he is. 122 catches last year, and he's got 5 tonight and the touchdown for the tie.
And that touchdown, though, that opportunity was set up because of Jake Reed.
Right.
The big night that Jake Reed has had, and they couldn't double Chris Carter on that play.
30 seconds to go in regulation. Brock Marion, Kevin Williams are deep. Fawad Reveiz will kick it off. And he launches one. He launches one. Oh, boy.
You know, I was just going to say, because Kevin Williams last year returned 2 kicks for touchdowns. So the launch was needed there.
30 seconds to go. Aikman.
Well, they have 3 timeouts remaining and 30 seconds. And you wonder how Barry Switzer is going to play this. Because Barry Switzer this year is the pitcher of record. Last year he was kind of filling in. But he is the pitcher of record, and it's his decision now. Do you play in the overtime, or do you give your experienced players a chance with 30 seconds
Well,
with 3 timeouts?
He said the second year is a lot easier than the first. He's adjusted to his players, and they to him. First down and 10. Screen pass. Oh, Emmett Smith is wrapped up and dropped at the 15. Jack Del Rio, the one-time Cowboy. Now I think they're going to let the time go.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you can fool Jack Del Rio once, and maybe you fool him twice because they did on 2 screenplays. But on the third one, you don't. And Broderick Thomas, I think, was a part of that as well.
We're going to overtime. These two teams came into the NFL. They were awarded the franchises in 1959. The Cowboys played first in 1960. Minnesota started its play in 1961. The first game the Vikings ever played was an exhibition game against the Dallas Cowboys in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. 4,000 people showed up. We've got 60,000 on hand tonight.
And they've seen a little bit of everything. I mean, they've seen some good defense. They've seen some real good special teams. I mean, some good plays, some bad plays. It's been an entertaining night for football fans here in Minneapolis.
Jack Del Rio and Billy Bates.
And one guy's got blood on his elbow. The other guy's got sweat all over him. And even though they're playing indoors, it looks pretty good.
Win the toss. They will receive. We're going to commercial, and then we're coming back and going into overtime. 17 all.
Lower your right foot and repeat after me. I promise to be free. I promise to be different. I promise to take the other path. I promise to be unique. I promise to drive an Eldorado with a 300-horsepower North Star V8, a suspension that reads faster than Evelyn Wood, and a body that parts traffic. Eldorado with the North Star system by Cadillac.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. This is dull. Doesn't have to be.
And now the starting lineup. That groom from Texas, Billy Clyde Humphrey. And at Bride, a 5'6" debutante from Alabama, Nell Peterson. The Humphrey wedding brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. The vows are up.
I do.
And they're good. Whoa, Nellie!
That was beautiful, man.
How do you know if something is fruit?
Well, is it wholesome?
Is it natural?
What about variety? Is it homegrown?
Is it sweet? Is it fresh?
Did you wash it? Then it's fruit.
Fruit of the loom, always in season.
Back under glass in downtown Minneapolis, Dallas and Minnesota 17-17. 2 timeouts per team, and the first team to score wins the ball game. This is the 3rd time these two teams have gone into overtime. Dallas won it 16-10 in 1977. The Vikings won it 44-38 in 1988.
We looked at the touchdown a couple times, the Chris Carter, but here's what set it up. A throw under duress, as good a throw as you can possibly make. Catch by Jake Reed. Carter came off and said, I can run the fade. I can run the fade. He ran the fade. He scored. Tie ball game.
Extra point by Revez with 30 seconds to go. Warren Moon composed.
Yeah, really. Michael Irvin composed for Michael.
That's right.
That's the way he always is.
These two teams, as we said, came in to the league 35 and 36 years ago. Dallas leads the overall series 11-7, and the Cowboys have only lost in Minnesota twice in all the times they played here.
Now, if I'm the Vikings, I'm trying to kick the ball away from Kevin Williams. Don't let Kevin Williams beat you this early in overtime.
Well, Fuad Revez got the touchback last time out, 72-yard kick. This is a good one, but it will be returned. Williams at the 4. Out to the 26. All in all, pretty good coverage.
Yep.
And Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and the Dallas Cowboys come back on the field.
Well, we talked about Aikman. He can struggle some as he has tonight. This has not been his best performance, but with one play, he can end the game. I mean, he has that kind of ability. He's that tough, and he doesn't get discouraged.
Eric Williams on the bench with the full calf muscle. Ron Stone at right tackle. The rest of the offensive line remains intact. And Aikman will throw. Deep right side, Michael Irvin. Just like that.
And again, you know, the toughness of Troy Aikman. I mean, he just was under duress again and took a shot. I mean, he is part flannel suit or shirt and part tuxedo. I mean, he can be tough and he can be classy and play with finesse. And very few guys could do this.
I think you've just composed a country western song.
Did I?
Yeah.
Part flannel shirt, part tuxedo?
Lyle Lovett will put it to music next week.
Maybe, maybe.
First and 10 at the 49. Aikman left side. At the feet of Darrell Johnston.
For the Cowboys, they have to be concerned a little bit about their kicker, Chris Boniol. I mean, missed an extra point, missed a very short field goal, and now he may be in a situation to win the football game. He's had one in his career a year ago against Cincinnati.
John Baker is the kickoff specialist. Boniol has been suffering from a strained quadricep muscle. I don't know if that affected him tonight, but that's one reason John Baker is still on the roster. Here's second down, Emmitt Smith. Gets to the 47-yard line. Ed McDaniel, number 58, with a tackle. It'll be third and a need probably of 7 by the time they spot the football.
Now here's where the offensive line has to give Troy Aikman some time, where he has been under duress almost this whole game. Barry Switzer said to us yesterday, he's wishing now, see, Barry closes his eyes and whispers.
Right.
He said to us yesterday, if we can protect Aikman, we have a chance on their corners.
Fleming and Novacek come near side. It's third and 6. Irvin, Williams right side. Aikman back across the middle. Corey Fleming. Corey Fleming to the 30-yard line.
And that's a big play for the Cowboys. And Corey Fleming's a guy last week against Denver, dropped the Hail Mary pass at the end of the half, and Ernie Zampese was saying, hey, we need Corey Fleming to play better. Well, here in overtime, he did. But it started with the protection, Vern. Very good protection there for Aikman. So it's an easy throw there to Fleming.
A gain of 17 yards. And now Boniol is going to start pacing the sidelines. First and 10, Dallas. 17-17 in overtime. Emmitt Smith, watch out. This could be over.
It is.
Touchdown, Dallas. A 31-yard scamper for the guy that Pat feels is the best running back in the league. What a comeback from a fumble that angered him for much of the night. 150 yards for Emmitt Smith for the evening. And he wins it for the Cowboys with a 31-yard run in overtime.
And he's the best runner, and he's the best fourth quarter player too. And now maybe the best overtime player. Watch the left side of the offensive line. And you're going to see a guy that has made one big play after another, even though he struggled. He had 3 big runs, long runs. He didn't even have to have his belt thing done. Maybe
his belt thing.
The belt thing is his belt or whatever it is.
Oh boy, the fashion police in the league are going to find him for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know, watch the left side.
At least it's not a swoosh.
It is. There you go. 2-8, sealed off the inside, and Emmitt saw it, he felt it, and then he outran Charles Mitchell.
It was a close call. Which would come first, the touchdown or the possibility that his pants were going to fall down? Emmitt Smith, 31 yards. Toughest tackle provided by Michael Irvin.